Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talking About Balls. I am Justin George, joined as always by Kyle Price. Kyle, welcome back. Happy to have you. Hope everything is going well with the health department area. With you, not with the health department of the city or anything like that. But happy to have you back. We are here. We were off the last couple of weeks. We didn't make any announcements on Facebook or anything like that. Didn't think it was really necessary. I kind of feel like everybody assumed that with the holidays we were going to kind of lay low, and I think it worked out for the best. Very busy for the last couple of weeks because, Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, etc. So I think we made the right decision, and obviously with you still recovering from things, much needed couple of weeks off.
I just mirrored. I forgot my image was mirrored, so I switched it and flipped it around. So now it's the right one. I'm like, why is it like opposite of where I'm actually sitting in my house? But no, man, it's good to be back. So like, yeah, I'm starting to get like a cold bug now. Like Jess has had pneumonia the last couple days, and I'm starting to get the start of what I'm hoping is not pneumonia. I'm hoping it's just a head cold. So we'll see. I've been drinking a shit ton of water, so hopefully I get through this without drinking too much.
Flush your system, and yeah, that's all you can do, man. There's some nasty shit going around. It sucks. I feel bad. Like a lot of people are getting sick. Knock on wood, I haven't yet.
You see the news, like the maps, like they're showing the maps of like December 15th through the 25th. It's increased tremendously across the United States. Like it reminds me of COVID, like how quick COVID like went.
Yeah, 100%.
It's crazy.
Like I'm at a point where, truth be told, regardless of what people thought, I personally believe I was the healthiest I've ever been in terms of like not catching anything back when we wore masks. Like I went like 2 years straight without even getting like a cold because I had a mask on, albeit, yes, I was around less populated areas, but still I get sick all the time. I have a bad immune system, I think. And I'm like, if somebody is near me with an illness, I'm getting it no matter what. And knock on wood, I've been pretty good. But when masks were a thing, it was fucking awesome. I'm like kind of thinking in my head, like with whatever's going around, maybe fucking masking up just to be safe.
Right. No, it's crazy. Like Jess, she got like, we borrowed this machine from Colleen. Colleen being a nurse practitioner, she gave this machine to Jess to use because her breathing's been bad. Like she hasn't been able to get like a full breath. So like, it's like you put it over your mouth for like 5 minutes and you inhale like this medicine that's supposed to like expand your lungs to give you more like air to your lungs, because she wasn't doing well. It was bad. I mean, it's just, in the Price household, I will say in the last probably 45 days, it's been the worst that we've come across, between the accident, between medical stuff for me, between her being sick. It's just, we're ready to kind of just brush it off and I'm blaming it the fact that it's carryover from 2025. So I'm not counting it as 2026 bad news because it started in 25.
She rolled it into 2026. So it doesn't count.
26, yeah. So.
Your clean slate's just starting a little later.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, it's just good to be back. It's been a couple weeks, but yeah, I needed to jump on because I know what half of this podcast is going to be about, but I still want to be part of it.
Yeah, I have some feelings right now, and it's safe to say that everyone knows where this is going to go, and we'll get to it eventually. But of course, we start off with the BS segment. We like to talk about our personal lives and stuff like that. I mean, for me, I had a great few weeks starting on. I got out of work on December 19th, Friday, and I did not return until this Monday, the 5th. It was really nice. I had 2 full weeks off of work. It was fucking awesome. It flew by. I could not believe on Sunday night that I was going to bed to go back to work. Like, truthfully, it was so fucking quick. It was kind of depressing, but those 2 weeks off were fantastic. I really enjoyed myself and spending time at home with the family and just doing stuff with Teddy and, having a good time. But it was nice, and the holidays were great. I won't go over every detail. We did a bunch of fun shit. We did, my dad had his 70th birthday, and we had a party for him.
Wow, getting old.
Yeah, big 70, born in 55. So he had a 70th birthday party. Then we went to the zoo for the Christmas lights. One of the nights, yeah, that was actually the night of the 19th. We went to the zoo for Christmas lights. Then the next day, we had my dad's birthday party. Watching football, hanging out with family. Christmas, we have a new tradition where Tara's family comes over to our house and we hang out and order Chinese food. It's my new favorite thing. And we did that. That was a good time. Watch football, watch the Cavs game.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. And then we did, trying to think of what else we did over the weekends. I really don't remember. I went to a bar with my father-in-law, watched football a couple times. We stayed home for New Year's Eve, we just laid low because we have Teddy, so she went to bed at 8 o'clock or whatever, and then the two of us just literally watched TV. We watched the new Stranger Things, watched a couple movies, watched the ball drop together, and then we went to bed at like, I don't know. I mean, we stayed up a little late. It was like 2 a.m. or something like that. But yeah, nothing crazy over here for the last couple of weeks. I got a golf cart for Christmas. It was pretty cool. Was not expecting it.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, my mom just calls and she's like, "Hey, I'm gonna drop something off for your birthday. Don't look out your window." I'm like, "What the fuck does that mean?" Like, she knows I hate like large items, so I was like, "What do you mean? I can't look out my window? What the hell are you bringing me?" I immediately, like, I'm in a panic. I call my sister. I'm like, "What is she getting me for Christmas?" Because she just told me to hide, basically, and to not look out the window. So it's something I can see from the street, which my house is not close to the street. There's a good distance away. So I'm like, what the fuck is she getting me? And my sister's like, I have no idea. So I'm like, okay. So I kind of pretended. My mom calls. She's like, "Hey, we're almost there. Go hide in your den so you can't see out the window." I'm like, okay, sounds good. We just stood in the living room and looked out the window. And then as soon as I saw them pulling in, I went, "Oh, it's a fucking golf cart." And I ran downstairs and acted surprised when they got there. But no, it's really cool. Big 4-seater. The back flips down so you can store shit on it. It's Browns themed and will absolutely come in handy for my yard. You've seen my house and my yard. That's going to be clutch going up and down that hill because a lot of times I'm not going to lie, there's some times where I have shit to take down to the shed where I'm like, nah, I'm good. I don't feel like going all the way down there. So I just throw it in the garage and now I can go back and forth.
Wow. Yeah, I saw that. I was like, I'm sitting there trying to think though, like what you're going to use it for, but then I'm thinking, can you use it in the metro parks? You're close to the metro parks, right? I mean,
no, I think I'd have to have a license for it technically. So to be honest, it's literally just going to be used in the yard, like driving around. I can haul like wood and stuff like that to the fire pit, like just little things like that.
That's amazing. Well, I mean, it's a great gift. I always wanted a golf cart. I always joke about getting one for here because, and oh, by the way, if you see me looking down here, it's because my monitor is so big that you're here. My camera's here, so I'm not ignoring you by any means. I can't look here because I have to look face to face. So just deal with it, I guess. So anyways,
Works for me.
I always wanted to get a golf cart for here because with Mike and Colleen living literally not even a couple blocks away, it'd be amazing to go back and forth and have that accessibility, not to be able to drive a car if we don't want to. So I'm kind of jealous, but that's an awesome gift that she got.
Yeah, man, I'm pretty happy about it. I unfortunately haven't been able to use it, but
did she buy it that way or did she get it and paint it that way?
Oh, they got it that way. He found it on Facebook Marketplace, I guess, and they had to go out and I forgot what city, but they had to drive pretty far, like an hour away to go pick it up. So they threw it in their truck, strapped it up, and drove it home.
That's amazing. Well, I'm jealous. I have to come over and ride it one time. I want to come over and drive it around for a little bit, even if it's just up and down the hill. I just want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I'll be doing with it. I just, like I said, I need the weather to get better because it's shitty out and soggy and everything, so I don't want to take it out yet. So I'm trying to wait till we actually get nice weather. So unfortunately, I probably won't really be able to use it till springtime, but, just knowing that it's sitting there is good enough for me.
Well, I'm not going to bore you with my BS because it'd be here forever because I've been gone for so long, but obviously a lot of people already know that I was in that car accident. You saw the pictures, so I've recovered from that. The injuries, I had staples taken out of my head. That was fun. They actually healed up pretty well back there. You can kind of tell you're always going to see where the incisions were, but whoever did it, the woman who did it at the hospital did it. I've had 2 doctors now tell me that she did a pretty damn good job with how she stapled my head because it healed up pretty well. No, I mean, I got hit from behind. I have a workman's comp thing going on with that, the medical part of my life. Now I've got, the rental car parts taken care of because that's all paid for through my company. It was a contract they had. And now I've got lawyers handling the stuff that I lost that was destroyed and my, and whatever lawsuit they're going after. So, so through 3 moving balls right now in the air. Right. And it's been kind of crazy. And, 2 weeks ago, I thought that I was out of the woodworks because my neck and my back were fine. My headaches were going away from the concussion. And we end up coming down to go out, and they see that my leg is swollen beyond all belief, like bigger than my other leg. And Colleen told me to get to the hospital. Went to the hospital, got it checked out, and come to find out that I have 2 blood clots and in my lower leg. And they said it's because of the trauma and like being hit because the chair, like the seat pushed out on my leg. So they got me on blood thinners, which you and I texted about and talked about. And so I'm on blood thinners now every day. They say I have to be on them, at least for right now, for 6 months, because it has to give time to dissolve the whatever is going on. They have me going to I just met with the workman's comp doctors today. They scheduled me an appointment with a cardiologist to scan my entire body, because they want to make sure that I have no clotting issues in my body before they focus just on my legs. So they're going to scan like chest and lungs and everything just to make sure things are okay. I'm assuming it's going to come back fine, because I've never had an issue with this before, right? At least not that I was aware of. But going down with that, so they got me on the blood thinners, and I wear a compression sock every day when I'm at home working, or I'm traveling, I got to wear one. And, it's just like yesterday, my leg was swollen. Like it swelled up pretty bad, like to the point that it was sensitive to touch. It sucks. And, I don't know. It's just been interesting. It's been an interesting month. I will say that I've never been in a car accident before. Never rode an ambulance. Check those off the life bucket list. So we're good to go there. Now we're just dealing with it. Hopefully and get past this, but I'm thankfully I'm alive. Thankfully I'm walking around, no issues. It's just one thing after another. So I lost my gaming computer because I had it in the trunk of the car.
Did you really?
Oh yeah. That's destroyed. That's like a $2,200 piece of equipment right there. So I had to send receipts over to the lawyer to get everything. My cell phone, which I have, it's cracked everywhere. It's cracked in the back. So like anytime I go to type, I can still see like it growing, the crack down the middle of the screen. And I took the case off the other day, and it's cracked down the entire back here. So fuck it, put it right back on. So once I get the check for the property damage check, I'm going to take that to get a new cell phone and hopefully build my computer back up. And then she said they're going after, but the person who hit me was an Uber driver. He was an Uber driver who had somebody in the car driving, coming down 71. And
no shit.
I didn't find this out till after the fact. And he had someone in the car, and so they're going after Geico, who is the insurance holder for Uber. And so the lawyer even said that, hey, the fact that it's full coverage, the fact that it's Uber, I'm going for as much as we potentially can get, possibly can get to get you whatever you need. Because now with this whole blood clot situation, it's going to be around for like 6 months. And it's going to be hanging around for a long time. So that's a life thing. I'm probably not going to see any closure from the accident probably till June, July, August, maybe. But whatever. I can tell Jess, I'm great, cool. Get some extra money. That'd be great. Anything greater than 0 is fine by me. I'm just happy that it wasn't nothing worse. I mean, because how my head got busted open by the headrest popping up and hitting the back of my head, I've seen enough movies. That could have gone a lot worse.
That's some Final Destination shit.
Yeah, that could have gone a lot worse. And the fact that I lost consciousness for 10 minutes, the fact that the car called 911 for me was interesting. I don't remember calling my wife. I was on the paramedic was on the phone with her when I came to. It's been very interesting, but thankfully I'm here. Things are good, and we're back to normal and stuff. But
yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying though. Like with the accident of I know you said that was your first accident. I've been in a car accident before, actually a couple of them. I've been rear-ended too, but luckily it was super slow speeds, and I got out of the car and I was like, "Hey man, everything looks okay. Like no worries." What's up, Robert? Super Bowl, Super Browns. Yep, the Super Toilet Bowl. I'll get into that because they are a shit organization, and we're going to learn a lot today, everybody. So buckle up for that. But yeah, I was in another accident when I was young. I was 18, literally just out of high school pretty much. And I was behind a school bus, and it was a Friday night. There was a high school football game going on. And the long story short, the school bus, it was right on Day Drive in Parma, right by Parma Town and all that. And the school bus, I swear, I stick to this story. I had my buddy in the car. We were on our way to a party. I'll preface with that. Again, I was 18. I had another friend was actually driving behind us. I stick to my story that I swear I remember a school bus being in front of me, turning right. The school bus turned right. So I went because I was used to school buses not turning right on red. So I just kind of was like, okay, it must be green. They're going. It's my own fault for not paying attention. And I went through a light. I hit a car, but the car on Day Drive's only 25 miles an hour. This car was probably going like 50. They were fucking flying. and I went through the light, and I wasn't going that fast because I literally was just accelerating, but I clipped the back end of their car, and they like went fucking flying, and like it was a huge thing. Yeah, their car like flipped over and shit. So my buddy, of course, he panics because I think he was younger than me. He might have, no, he was 18, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
So he jumps out of the car and he literally just goes running. So then the cops show up because I'm waiting there because I'm like, whatever. I accidentally hit him. Like, I'm going to stay here and like give a statement and do whatever I can. I was okay. And
Mike, I am sick. You should hear me. I sound like shit.
Dr. Mike checking in.
I was supposed to bowl for them in place of my father-in-law, but
oh, really?
I woke up this morning and I went to bed last night with chills and a fever, and I felt like shit all day. So I wasn't going to get other people sick, especially with this bullshit going around.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you, especially with all those bowlers up there. God knows what the last thing they need is somebody getting them all sick and coughing on all the balls and stuff.
Sorry, but you went to yours.
No, you're good. But yeah, no, similar story basically where like, because it was my fault. I had to go through insurance and everything, and like they sued, and I ended up actually having to go to a deposition, and the woman was like trying to claim that like she had these horrific injuries that like basically the lawyers were disputing and they could like prove were wrong, and she ended up settling, and that was the end of it. But yeah, no, it's a pain in the ass. It takes a while.
With your insurance company, or
yeah, my insurance company cut her a check, and that was the end of it.
You know how much she got?
They didn't tell me. No, they just won because again we left the deposition, and then from there they basically said, okay, here's what you can do. We'll offer you this, or this can go to an actual like trial, and you could possibly get nothing. And she was like, I'll take that check. So they called me and they just said, hey, she took the settlement. You're done.
It's crazy because when the lawyer was explaining to me, so let me just say, so I went to a lawyer that I didn't know, but like the week after the incident, my accident record became public, right? It became public access. Mm-hmm. And I at least 50 phone calls in one day from
I'm sure
emails. I got text messages. I had people FedExing overnight these welcome packs of why I should choose them to be my lawyer. I had one or two people send me like this big conglomerate like DVD, watch my video, how I'm the best lawyer for you. And so I ended up going through our MGA, the golfers thing that we golf in. There's a lawyer who golfs in there with us. And I reached out to him. I said, hey, I don't trust anybody, right? I don't trust people.
Yeah, they're all sharks.
I said, who would you recommend I go to for something like this? Because he's friends with me on Facebook. He saw what I went through, and he's like, well, I used to do injury cases for like 20 years. I don't do them anymore. He goes, but we work with a sister law firm that I'd recommend heavily. She's been doing it for 30 years. So he recommended me to her. I reached out to her, and they've been nothing but the best. But she's like right from the get-go, state law in the state of Ohio, I don't know if you knew this, 33.5% of whatever I win or whatever I get goes right to them, right?
Oh, yeah.
So with the case now being workman's comp, if whatever I accrue in workman's comp that's paid for, whatever medical stuff is going to has to be paid back by whatever I get in the settlement. So let's, for example, say I accrue $10,000 in medical bills, right? And then let's say I win $50,000 in a settlement check. She takes 33% of that from the top right away. Then we pay back the $10,000 to workman's comp in the state of Ohio. And then whatever's left over is what I get.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you get screwed at the end of the day.
Screwed. So I'm like, fuck, go for $500,000 then. And then try to go from there. But I mean, it's not going to happen, but still it sucks. But you know what though? I'd rather them be having the conversation because they already reached that. The person from that agency already tried reaching out to me like 2 days later to try to say, hey, we'll settle for this right now. Like, give me a check right away. So I'm like, no, I'm not talking to you. I'll let the lawyers handle that and let them deal with it. So
yeah. Your own representation can present that to you, and then you make a decision together collaboratively for sure.
So yeah, no, it's been interesting. It sucks, but what can you do? You do?
All right. Yeah. I mean, that's other than that, obviously we start the show off with great news and, we keep everybody in a great mood, but such is life. Last 2 weeks for me have not been anything exciting, just literally chilling at home. It was just nice to be off work, watching movies, hanging out with the family and stuff. So nothing crazy. I'm sure, you were pretty much doing the same thing, but you're in more of a recovery mode, and now you guys are in quarantine essentially with the sicknesses going around. So
I'm so glad that dogs can't get like a sick cold from us, because I've been sleeping in this bed for the last couple of days, trying to stay away from her, so I didn't get what she got. And
yeah,
I got it anyways, right? So it's one of those things where it's like she's finally, I think, on the mend. Like she's feeling better, like moving around more. Not great, but trying to get there. We have something we want to go to this weekend. We're supposed to go to a friend's house, and I want to make sure we're good by then. But if I feel like this, it's going to be questionable. I don't want to put people at risk, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we had our Festivus party on Saturday, and you guys were sick. We had other people that didn't come because same thing. They were like, hey, you know, like Con, my brother-in-law, Chris was like, hey, Con's not feeling good. So we were like, stay home. Like, don't come. If you're sick, don't bother. It's literally not worth it. It's a little party, get together with friends. It'd be cool to see everybody. But if you're sick, I don't want to get sick. It's not worth it to see for 10, for an hour just so I can get sick and miss work.
I'm hoping when I have more of a head cold and by Friday I'm feeling better. I'm just hoping I'm taking, vitamin C. I'm taking like the tea and whatnot to kind of like help with everything, and drinking a lot of fluids. So it's whatever. I'm sure, knock on wood.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's no cure. If it is a cold, there's no cure for the common cold. So all you can really do is what you're doing. Stay hydrated, get rest, and hope. Manage
the symptoms. Yep. It could be AIDS. I don't know. The jury's still out though. So
yeah, I mean, hey, you can't get it twice, right? So let's get into the news. The Browns season has officially ended. Highlights. Rookies looked good. We're more than likely going to have the defensive rookie of the year in Carson Schlesinger. Myles Garrett did break the sack record. He officially has 23 sacks, which is the most in NFL history. I'm not going to lie. I know this is going to sound greedy and selfish, but 23 is kind of low considering he could have broken the record like 3 weeks ago. I get that that's, again, a testament to Myles Garrett because the teams we were playing completely changed their offensive philosophies specifically to avoid him getting that sack, which was nuts. If you go back to that Buffalo Bills game, and this is where, Adam, star of the show, are you frozen, Kyle, or just looking down? Oh, okay. Honestly wasn't sure. You're fine. I just wanted to make sure you were still there. Adam, the star of the show from Redline and from Unscripted on Saturday mornings with Dave and all those guys and Chipper, he commented on one of my things the other day, and he was joking around, and he's like, hey, since you think all Browns fans are dumb, and I do say that a lot, and obviously I'm not talking about like people that I actually know, like Adam's a good Browns fan, but listening to radio shows and stuff like that, people are saying dumb shit since a couple of weeks ago, and they were like, oh, this Browns team is good. This team had so much potential. They almost beat the Bills. The Bills are so bad. The Browns almost beat them. And it's like, well, no, if you actually pay attention to what the Bills did that day, the Bills tried to not throw the ball a lot because they didn't want to give Myles Garrett opportunities to get sacked. So they ran the ball heavily and they beat us. So they changed their offensive game plan and their identity a little bit specifically for Myles Garrett. They kind of went into the game going, hey, the Browns aren't that good of a team. If we just run the ball well, he won't get the record. We can sneak out of there with a W. You don't get extra wins or points because you won by 10 or if you won by 3 or you won by 2. It doesn't matter. So the Bills snuck away with a win, but they did look like a different team. And then the next week, the Browns played the Steelers. Steelers were so focused on making sure Myles Garrett didn't get close to the record or to Aaron Rodgers that they lost the game. It cost them the game because they were so hyper-focused on Myles Garrett. And then the Bengals were kind of doing the same thing. The Bengals, like, this is, again, Browns fans just watch the game and go, oh, look at that. The Browns beat the Bengals. They're better than the Bengals. And it's like, no, pay attention to what the Bengals did. They were even showing you the data that Joe Burrow would typically take just under 3 seconds to throw the ball. Against the Browns, he was throwing the ball in under 2 seconds. May not seem like a lot, but in NFL terms, that's a lot. That's a lot of time. A whole second sooner to get rid of the ball means they changed their offensive identity entirely to avoid Myles Garrett, but it was to no avail. He still managed to get a sack. There were a lot of people that were trying to compare it to the Brett Favre thing because Joe Burrow technically went down, but Myles Garrett was behind Joe Burrow, so Joe Burrow didn't know he was right there. He literally just knew, I'm probably going to get sacked because he has pocket awareness, so he dropped down. It wasn't like Brett Favre literally ran into Michael Strahan's arms and dropped down for him to get the sack. This was Myles Garrett was blocked. He beat his man. Joe Burrow had nowhere to go with the ball, nowhere to go with his feet, so he dropped down to avoid taking a huge unnecessary hit. So to me, it's a legitimate.
It wasn't a Strahan type thing.
Exactly.
Someone put them side by side, and there's not a comparison whatsoever. at all. So, I mean, it still wasn't a great sack, but a sack's a sack, right? So.
That's how I look at it. I'll take it. And then, of course, there's Steeler fans that, because Myles Garrett just lives rent-free in their head. Like, personally, I didn't even ask George to put up the Steelers graphic. He did that on his own. But Steelers fans, like, the day that they have the game, they're literally playing for the division. There's a Sunday night football game. We'll go over it later. Ravens-Steelers. Winner wins the North. Steeler fans are on Twitter and social media. All they're talking about is Myles Garrett. Well, TJ Watt did it in 15 games, and he did this, and he did it he had tape on his toe, and like they're just coming up with every fucking excuse to try to act like TJ Watt's some godly player. And then they were even trying to diminish the way Garrett got the sack on Burrow. And then the funny thing is there's so many clips from that season where TJ Watt broke the record where Baker Mayfield slid at the line of scrimmage and they gave TJ Watt a sack. So you can argue all day if you want to. Both are good players. Myles Garrett is just better. And
I don't have a hate towards TJ Watt. Like I mean,
No.
I hate him because he's on the Steelers, but you recognize greatness. TJ Watt's a good football player. He's top 5 defensive end in the league right now, right?
To me, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying in general, statistic wise. I mean, he's always up there, right? If he has an injury-free season, he's going to be one of the top 5 like defensive ends in the league, right? I mean, he's getting older, but it's probably not going to be there much longer. But I respect him. I respect him as a football player, but there's no comparison between what Garrett goes through. And then Chipper, let's bring him up because he's been talking about a lot lately. He's like, oh, there's stats to say that TJ Watt gets chipped and doubled more than Garrett does. And I'm like, what stats are you on? Is it like www.creedthoughts.com// whatever, the fake website that no one actually like goes to? Like, I've never heard that before in my entire existence at all.
No. And what I was going to say is if you in my opinion, what I think the reasoning is of their obsession with Myles and why they're so hyper-focused on all that shit is because...
I agree, Robert. He is a hybrid, yeah.
He is. They know that Myles is... Or, like, the reason Browns fans don't give a shit about TJ Watt like the way Steeler fans care about Garrett is because we know Myles Garrett's better, so we don't really have to, like, argue with anything. They're so fixated on trying to be like, no, here's why TJ's better. We don't have to do that. We're just like, no, the proof's out there. Like, every player in the league, executives, they all say Myles Garrett's the best defensive player in the league. Steeler fans just refuse to accept
I've never seen any team plan the way they do for Myles to plan for TJ. Like, they literally move tight end and receiver over sometimes, and sometimes even bring in an extra defensive or an offensive lineman to put them over there so he gets chipped, and then he goes into a double, right? That's how they play Myles. TJ, no one plans like that against him. They just own up to the fact that the right guard or the right tackle is pretty much going to go one-on-one with him, and they just live and die by that because on our team, at least, it's not the blind side. You can see him coming, right? You know what you have to do in order to get away from him. You never see TJ play the other side of the line. I don't think he's capable of playing the other side of the line. What does Myles do? Myles plays left, right, middle, linebacker. I think he even played safety before. Like, he's all over the field.
He'll do whatever he has to. Yeah. And, TJ Watt, again, good player, but TJ Watt is a product of everyone around him. Offenses plan more for Cam Hayward, for Alex Highsmith, for guys like that than TJ Watt. That's why TJ Watt doesn't face the double teams and chips and stuff like that Myles does. TJ Watt is a cleanup artist. If you actually go through and look at all of his sacks from the 2021 season, a lot of them he comes unblocked, and because he gets, like, the quarterback will run into him essentially because he's getting away from the other guys. So TJ Watt's just there to clean it up, which it's a stat. I'm not knocking it. He's a great player, but they're very different in that aspect. And then TJ Watt, again, is just the beneficiary of everyone else around him. I watched the game on Sunday night. I don't know if you did. He had an interception.
One of the better games I've seen in a long time.
Oh, it was great, but he had an interception. So when you just look at the box score, you go, TJ Watt, he's so much better than Myles Garrett. He gets interceptions. But did anybody actually pay attention to the interception? His teammate jumped up, deflected the ball, did all the work. TJ Watt was kind of not involved in the play at all, and the ball just fell into his arms. Great catch, great awareness to see it and catch it, but, like, he's, again, just the product of everybody else around him. Myles Garrett is the best player on the field at all times. That can't be said for TJ Watt on the other side.
Agreed.
And again, we're not knocking it. It's like you have, in terms of defensive ends, you're comparing, an all-time great with an all-time great. So it's not like we're saying that TJ Watt's a bum, but Myles Garrett is a better player in just in terms of rushing the passer. Myles Garrett is better.
AJ Watt, but he's good.
Yeah.
His brother is head and shoulders above him.
Not even close. Yeah. But don't let Steeler fans hear that, because then Chip's going to come up with a chart.
JJ versus Myles.
I mean, both were really good. Obviously, JJ Watt was fantastic. JJ Watt has 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards, if I'm not mistaken, because he was dominating for a while. But I still would probably take Myles over JJ Watt if I had to gun to my head. If I'm taking either one in their prime, I would take Myles Garrett. I do think he's more of a game wrecker than JJ Watt.
Yeah, watching JJ Watt highlights though, man, I was stuck on some TikTok where they were comparing defensive ends. They had Strahan in there, Reggie White. They had all these Lawrence Taylor, like watching like how they they swim moves, power off the line, how quick they were. And watching some of the JJ Watt highlights, you're like, gee, I forgot. I mean, I watched, obviously we grew up watching, I mean, I did at least. You watched him in his prime and you forget how good he was. I mean, some of the stuff he did and some of the stuff he was capable of.
I mean, he would play on offense. He'd catch touchdowns. Like, he did some good shit. I mean, honestly, in my opinion, if you're comparing like some of the greatest defensive end pass rushers of all time, I'd hear an argument more of JJ and Myles than I would TJ and Myles, truthfully, because again, they're different players. TJ Watt's an outside linebacker. He drops back in coverage. He does other things. Whereas JJ Watt and TJ and Myles Garrett, their full job is just line up on the end, 4-3 defense, go get the quarterback. That's it. And tackle behind the line of scrimmage. That's another thing where Myles was close to breaking the all-time record that's actually held by JJ Watt for tackles for a loss. So both fantastic players. Honestly, you could have a good back and forth discussion of in their prime, are you taking JJ or are you taking Myles? Whereas TJ, you're like, I would take Myles or JJ over TJ Watt by a country mile. It's not even close. So
would you play for Myles and best defensive end of all time?
I mean, yes, depends on where you're looking. Again, there's variables to things, but there's charts going around that show that technically speaking, Myles Garrett is the best defensive end of all time in terms of the amount of snaps it took him to get it. In terms of, I think he actually beat out Reggie White for the best number of snaps per sack was like 23.2, and Reggie White was like 23.8 or something like that in terms of dropbacks per times he got a sack in the season. So Myles Garrett, he has like the fastest jump off at the line of scrimmage than any of these guys ever did. Obviously has the record for most sacks in a season. So, I mean, he's right up there, truthfully, as one of the best defensive ends of all time.
Most car flips of all time. I think he's number 1 in that too.
Most car flips, most helmet swings for a defensive end. He's got a lot going for him.
Yeah, that's true. No, I'm glad he got it. I'm glad he got that monkey off the back and got it, because he only played as long as he did that game just to get that sack.
I was truly like, I was texting my buddy before the game and I was like, this season obviously was a shit show. Like, I knew at going into the Bengals game, I'm like, they're going to fire Stefanski after the game. I'm going to be pissed about that. The season sucked. Shedeur Sanders sucks. Like, just, Quinshon Judkins gets hurt. Carson Schlesinger gets hurt and can't play the final game where he was going to set the all-time Browns tackle record. Like, all these little things that I'm like, in a shitty season, you look for little moral victories, and those would have been nice. And I'm like, watch Myles not break the fucking record. He got that close, and he's not going to break it. Like, I was going to be really devastated for him. So I'm really happy that he got it.
Did they say Judkins is be back by next year, no issues, or is that going to be elongated injury?
No, they expect him back in camp. It was just a pretty clean breaks. Nothing serious that needed like restructured. It was literally just a broken bone in his leg. So they expect him to be back for training camp and everything like that. He should be fine.
That's good.
I think what I see, 6 to 8 month injury, something like that.
High hopes for him, man. I think in his sophomore and junior year, he's gonna go to another level. I think Judkins got that chub beast in him. If that makes sense, like he's got that kind of like tough runner, downhill runner in your face, and I'm kind of excited we got them. And I'm hoping we keep him with Samson because I think Samson offsets him with that speed and quickness that you need. And so I'm pretty excited about our running backs for the next 2 years here.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, the Browns should just go into next season with Rocket Sanders, Quinshon Judkins, and Dylan Sampson as your 3 running backs, and you're fine. I mean, Jerome Ford will be gone. He's a free agent. But I think you're good. And yeah, I think the Judkins injury, if I'm not mistaken, is pretty similar to the break that Aiden Hutchinson had. It looked ugly. Yeah, 4 to 5 months. It looks really bad on film. You're like, holy shit, his leg broke in half. But then when you actually see, like, it's a break, it sucks, but it's an easy fix. It's just going to take a little bit of time, but he should be good to go. And it wasn't like a broken ankle or something that could like linger and like be fucked up. I mean, don't get me wrong, a broken bone is a broken bone, but yeah, could have been worse. Could have been definitely worse.
Don't mind my dog. He's performing on camera right now.
No, you're gay. We're talking Browns, dog pound. You know, that's what we want here. But yeah, so that was cool for the game on Sunday. The Browns obviously beat the Bengals. They got 2 wins to end the season, which is funny because, you know, I did the TikTok after each game, but we didn't do a show. Beating the Steelers removed the Browns from the number 2 overall pick, which I was pissed about. There were fans that were actually celebrating beating the Steelers, and I was really mad about it.
Were they number 6 now?
Yeah, then we went into the Bengals game, and the Bengals game was basically if the Browns lost, the highest they could have gone was like 5 or something like that, or is what I was told. Or I'm sorry, if the Browns won, the furthest they would go is 7, so they'd go from 6 to 7. So I was like, who gives a fuck about this game? Then it's not going to make a difference. But then after the fact, when all the dust settled, I don't think the Raiders would have beaten the Chiefs had the Browns not beat the Steelers last week. But technically speaking, if everything would have played out the way it played out, but the Browns would have lost the last 2 games, we would have the number 1 overall pick.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's really devastating for me. As a person who loves Fernando Mendoza, you guys know I've been talking about him for a long time.
Fernando Mendoza.
Yep. I joke with my buddy that's a Raiders fan, and I'm like, you guys are going to ruin that guy. He's such a nice, humble, like religious kid. He's going to go to Vegas and start buying hookers and like get addicted to drugs and fucking gambling. I was like, you guys are going to ruin him. He's like the kid. He's like Ishmael from Kingpin. He's going to get a little bit of freedom, and all of it's going to come loose.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It really is, but I'm excited. I'm excited to see if that team really just needs a quarterback. But I really think that the Raiders, from moving to Vegas, that team is just jinxed no matter what. Coach, players, it's just I don't think that team's destined to be anything more than mediocre for the remaining I don't know how many years. I don't think that team's ever going to be good. I mean, that has talent. Think about it. You have a top, what I consider could be a top running back, right? In what you got. You had top tier receivers. They end up killing people. And you get Geno Smith, who was doing really well and could have been coached to do mediocre game manager style football in Vegas. And he shit the bed, right? Like it doesn't make sense. It's literally a black hole of players.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the Vegas Raiders, obviously they used to be in Oakland with Al Davis, and Al Davis had the motto of just win, baby. That's all he cared about. He would do anything to win. With John Madden, you know, those guys, they won a Super Bowl back in the day. The Raiders were about winning. Then Al Davis died, and Mark Davis took over, and Mark Davis is more concerned about money and a party, so he moved to Vegas. And if you look at a Vegas game, most of the crowd, there's Raiders fans there, but most of the crowd are either opponents, fans, or they're just indifferent people that are just like, hey, I'm in Vegas for the weekend with my friends. We decided to go to a football game.
Yeah,
like
no you're right.
Rooting interest. They're just there to go, hey, the stadium's pretty cool. They're probably leaving at like halftime because they're like, yeah, this game sucks. But then, yeah, the Raiders, we'll talk about it. But in my opinion, the Raiders might be the most attractive head coaching position, truthfully. And I'll explain why when we talk about all that. But in my opinion, the Raiders might be number 1, and we'll talk about it. But yeah, so the Browns season ends. The Browns they go 5-12, which is ironic because last year Jimmy Haslam said 3 wins is not enough. So the Browns go out and win 5, and it still gets Kevin Stefanski fired. So I don't know what Jimmy Haslam wants.
10 wins.
Yeah, so I joked and I said, well, whoever they hire next year better win at least 6 or he's fired because 5 wasn't good enough. So I don't know what the fucking bar is. But let's get into it. The Browns fired Kevin Stefanski, as I said, was probably going to happen. The rumor started circulating over the weekend that Stefanski was going to get fired and that Andrew Berry was going to stay. And that's when I kind of was like, it's going to really piss me off if they do that because they're essentially making Kevin Stefanski the scapegoat. You have an offensive-minded coach who's a 2-time coach of the year who has had to work with P.J. Walker, Jacoby Brissett, a mentally cooked Deshaun Watson, who, believe what you want, after he was fired, stories immediately started coming out from Pete Prisco, who said, yeah, Kevin Stefanski did not want Deshaun Watson. This was Andrew Berry and mainly Jimmy Haslam, who kind of, and Depot, who forced him onto the team. And he had Baker Mayfield, who, again, we all know what Baker Mayfield is. Baker Mayfield is a 500 quarterback. Look at his record. He is good in some games, great in some games, and then awful in some games. That's just the Baker Mayfield cycle. He is who he is. But anyway, so Kevin Stefanski gets fired. Andrew Berry gets to stay. The guy who constructed our roster, who has swung and missed on umpteen draft picks, costly draft picks, second-round picks, third-round picks, early picks for us, considering we didn't have first-round pick for 3 years because of the Watson trade. He drafted us Sayaki Ika, the defensive tackle. Spoiler alert, no longer in the NFL because he's not good. Third-round pick. They drafted Tommy Togiai in the third round, if I'm not mistaken. Tommy Togiai never could make it on the Browns. They cut him. He's actually doing pretty decent in Houston now, but that's a wasted draft pick. He drafted Anthony Schwartz. Gone, out of the NFL. He drafted David Bell, wide receiver, early. Gone, out of the NFL. He drafted Jamari Thrash, who the Browns cut, wide receiver. He's amounted to nothing. The list is endless. I could go on and on all day. Perion Winfrey, defensive tackle, no longer in the NFL, legal troubles. Again, I could go on forever of
Every
swing and
person
misses.
you're mentioning right now is tied to D. Podesta as well. Everyone.
Correct. And that's why I looked at this as a package deal. So when Paul DePodesta left the Browns, my first thought was, okay, to me, this shows that Paul DePodesta was the brains behind everything. And he's gone. Jimmy basically said,
draft this past year's draft class, though.
Say again.
I don't think he helped draft this past year's draft class, which was
I do not either. That was
arguably the best draft class that Andrew Berry's ever drafted, I think.
Yes, it was, but there are some issues, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, I agree with you completely. My conspiracy theory with no actual evidence was that this was a draft without DePodesta's fingerprints on it. I think what happened was their contracts were all expiring, or Depot's contract is expiring after this season, and Jimmy and him talked professionally and said, hey, we're going to move in a different direction. We'll let you play out your last year of the contract, but we're going to look for somebody else to kind of make these decisions. You're no longer doing that. And he said, okay. And then halfway through the season, he obviously took the job with the Colorado Rockies and he's gone. Yes. Andrew Berry had a great draft. He traded back from number 2 to get an extra draft pick for this year. Great move. Took Mason Graham. Very, very good defensive tackle. Game changer for, especially for Miles. Looks like a great player. I'm not knocking him at all. I really like the pick. However, when you now go back, obviously it's revisionist history. Would Tet McMillan fit on this team for a team that needs wide receivers? Would, even a little early, don't get me wrong, I understand, but, Emeka Ibuka, there's some pretty good players that came after Mason Graham that the Browns could have had. They didn't take. Again, I'm not going to play revisionist history, but when a team desperately needs wide receivers and they've swung and missed on so many, a really, really good wide receiver who's probably going to win Rookie of the Year was drafted just after your pick. I don't know. I feel like that's something you could be like, hey, what the fuck? Here's a position we really, really, really need. And here's a arguably generational, didn't get it. Go to the second round. Judkins and Carson Schlesinger, both studs. Not going to complain about those picks whatsoever. Not going to get a complaint out of me. However, one player I really, really liked in the second round, I love Judkins, don't get me wrong, but one guy I really liked, Nick Manowari, the safety. Who took him? Seattle. Who's probably going to get a couple a defensive rookie of the year award votes? Nick Manowari from the Seattle Seahawks. Very good safety. Again, I'm not playing revisionist history, but there are other players that were really, really good that Barry didn't hit on. He was a guy that I know I mentioned on the show for sure, for somebody the Browns should target. I really liked him. Then you go to the third round. Harold Fannin, great pick. Love it. I was a huge fan of that pick. Dylan Gabriel. This is where, of course, people that didn't like Stefanski just go, that was a Stefanski pick. 100%. Stefanski took him. Had nothing to do with Barry. All Stefanski. Okay. That's fine if you want to argue that. Then later in the draft, we take Dylan Sampson. Another running back. How many running backs do we need? There's only one ball. Good pick. I mean, Sampson looks like a good player, but he's also not like game-changing, dynamic type of player, but whatever. Then they take Shedeur Sanders. Another quarterback. A quarterback with baggage. A quarterback with a celebrity, with an aura that you're forcing onto Kevin Stefanski in your roster again another controversial quarterback for this guy to have to coach. Baker Mayfield was a controversial quarterback. I think you would agree with that. He's a figure, if you will.
Polarizing figure, yes.
100%.
Yeah.
So he had him. Then they trade for Deshaun Watson, who was, public enemy number one. Everybody hated. Kevin Stefanski had to navigate that ship. Then you draft him, Shedeur Sanders, another nightmare of a situation for a quarterback or for a head coach who's just trying to get stability with his team and to build a future and a roster. You're giving him all these fucking issues and he's navigating no problem. He's taking the bullets for you every fucking time that there's a press conference. He's going, I have to be better. This loss is on me. He's taking all the blame for every player and for every mistake. And he's the one who got fired at the end of the season. He has 2 Coach of the Year awards. He has, in my opinion, he's taken some really shitty players and made them pretty decent, especially at the quarterback position, to help the Browns get to 2 playoff appearances in his tenure when he was here. Andrew Berry, on the other hand, go through his draft classes. 1 good draft class, and they've only been here for 1 year. I hope they don't, but who's to say that all these guys from this draft class don't suck next year? It happens. There are players that have good rookie seasons and then they fall off entirely. Sophomore slumps are very real. And Andrew Berry gets to stay. Andrew Berry was here in the Sashi Brown era, back in the mid-2000s or 2010s, when we had a 1-31 2-year cycle. Andrew Berry was a part of that. He was here. He worked here until 2019, and then he came right back in 2020. So Andrew Berry's essentially been with the Browns for like 10 years now. And Kevin Stefanski is the one who's getting fired. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Something had to change, right? I get your saying of it should have been both Berry and...
That's exactly my thoughts. Either keep both or fire both. This should not have been split up.
Agree. To me, it doesn't make sense why both didn't go. I think I've said that. Everyone's saying that, I think, that it just doesn't make sense why both didn't go, right? Curious, maybe Jimmy Haslam sees that maybe they see something in Andrew Berry's what happened last year and hopefully they can continuation this year. I don't know, but something had to change. He knew someone was getting fired at the end of the season because we've had, 2 back-to-back seasons of just utter trash and just unpredictableness. I mean, we have good talent on this team. I would say that we have good talent on this team in spots, right? We don't have what we need yet. And now you could argue, well, let's give him 1 more year. But I think to save face, Haslam had to make a change, and he made a change. I think this was 100% just a save face and move on to find a new candidate next year and go from there. But
yeah, I just think that they did it, and this is what I'm so upset about. As I said, it should have been all or nothing. You either fire both or you fire one, because how are you gonna only blame one guy essentially, and then the other guy who's in charge of like the executive decisions? Who, again, I just listed a handful of really horrible decisions he's made in the last decade, and he's the guy who you're not only just going to keep as GM, you're allowing him to pick the coach. He's now basically, he is the team president. He is picking the coaches. He's going to be doing everything. He's still in charge of the draft. You are giving the keys to a guy who has more cons than pros. If you're going to compare the two of Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, if you were going to weigh out which one should I keep, which one should I fire, it has to only be one, like the movie The Good Son with Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood. If they're both hanging off a cliff, you can only save one. You're doing pros and cons. Kevin Stefanski has more good than bad. Andrew Berry has way more bad than good. But Jimmy Haslam made his decision. Jimmy Haslam, of course, who's known for making really good decisions and being a great team owner that fans respect and like, had a great move here. And I'm being very sarcastic if you couldn't tell. But no, I mean, I'm very irritated by it. For me, I'm going into next season. Like, I obviously I'm a Browns fan. I'm not going to jump ship, but like, I'm to the point where like, I'm really upset with this team, and like I have the lowest expectations. And we'll really quickly talk about the other coaches that got fired. Of course, you've got Pete Carroll was let go by the Raiders. That one really wasn't surprising. You've got Brian Callahan, who got fired mid-season. Raheem Morris got fired after the game on Sunday. Brian Dable was fired mid-season. And bottom right there, you've got Jonathan Gannon, who is a Cleveland native who was fired by the Arizona Cardinals, who I actually like. I would like him to be here in Cleveland if I had a short list to go off of. And for whatever reason, though, Oh, and I forgot Harbaugh. I was saving him for last because he was a surprise fire yesterday. John Harbaugh was
Harbaugh. Let's go. Come on, bring him over.
zero chance. John Harbaugh probably wouldn't even answer our phone call. He's a 60. He'll be 64 when the season starts. He's a 64-year-old man who is coming from a steady organization with a 2-time Pro Bowler at quarterback. He is not coming to Cleveland where he would get Shedeur or Deshaun Watson, because that's the other thing Browns fans don't really realize is by winning those 2 games against the Steelers and the Bengals, they went from possibly taking a rookie quarterback at number 1 or number 2 and going for it like every other team does, to we're more than likely facing a training camp battle of Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders next year. So I hope Browns fans are buckled in for that. But yeah, Harbaugh was fired by the Ravens. The rumors say that Steve Bisciotti, the owner of the Ravens, made this decision himself, and that the rest of the executives in front office were very against it. Essentially, they told Harbaugh, fire Todd Monken as your offensive coordinator, or you're fired. And he said, I'm not firing him. So they said, okay, see you later. And of course, Todd Monken is the offensive coordinator that forgets he has Derrick Henry in critical moments of games, and it's cost the Ravens, a Super Bowl appearance or 2 because boneheaded decisions in the games. But I digress. By the way, he was the first person the Browns called for a head coaching interview, was Todd Monken, if you guys were wondering. He was also here in 2019. He was our offensive coordinator under Freddie Kitchens. The Browns were like the 24th rated offense, and he got fired after 1 year. So now, naturally, they're calling him to be the head coach.
Is this graphic telling me that you think that the Bills coach is going to get fired if they lose the first game?
So there are some rumors that if Sean McDermott gets eliminated, that they will move on because they're kind of sick of only going so far. So that is a very true rumor. Probably could have thrown Mike Tomlin on this list. And then Mike McDaniel is somehow surviving in Miami. They hired Troy Aikman to be a consultant. Mike McDaniel is still employed. But the second John Harbaugh got fired yesterday, there were allegedly, I think there's 6 vacancies right now for head coach. 7 teams called John Harbaugh's agent to say, hey, we're interested in him. Obviously,
the 7th one had to be Miami. Yep.
all of the ones that had the opening except for Baltimore called. And then the other one is speculation of who do we think it is. I have 3 teams that come to mind. First one, obvious choice being Miami. Second one being the Jets. And the third one being the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Those are the 3 teams I could see that could have called and said, hey, if you're interested, we'll do whatever we have to get you here. And there's a 4th team that I thought of, which is kind of ironic because of this graphic here, the Bills. If the Bills, John Harbaugh was really good with a mobile quarterback that could create plays in Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen, obviously not as quick and agile, but he's still very mobile. Would be an interesting choice. So that was another mystery team that I kind of thought of. But if I had to guess, I would put heavy favorite money on Miami being the team that called him. But yeah, Mike McDaniel still having a job is very, very surprising to me. Kevin Stefanski barely had time to even start packing up his office before he had multiple phone calls and interviews set up. He'll met with the Giants.
He'll be hired within the month easily.
The funniest thing is they announced the Browns' opponents for next year, and we actually play. And if you look at the graphic there of it's actually everyone in the middle row. Stefanski is linked to the Titans, he's linked to the Falcons, and he's linked to the Giants. Browns play all 3 of those teams next year. So there's a really good chance there is a Stefanski revenge game happening in 2026, and I'm all for it. I will personally be supporting Kevin Stefanski wherever he goes in the NFL. I think he got a raw deal, and I'm a fan. I'm sure everyone here knows that. I've been a Kevin Stefanski apologist for the last 6 years because there's a lot of people that are like, again, it's lazy sports takes. Fire the coach. Team's not very good, just fire everybody. I'm hearing it with even the Cavs right now on local radio shows. Cavs are struggling a little bit, so they're like, is Kenny Atkinson on the hot seat? And then middle of the season for baseball, Guardians, they were treading water. And people were saying, yeah, I don't know, Stephen Vogt's getting out-managed every day. Stephen Vogt might not be as good as we thought. That Manager of the Year award's kind of fluky. And then he wins another division, gets another Manager of the Year award. But it's just, again, it's lazy sports takes. It's just fire the coach, fire the coach, fire the coach. So I've had to listen to that for Kevin Stefanski for the last 5 years, give or take, that he should just be fired after every loss. He survived, made it to year 6, and then got canned. Unjust. in my opinion. But I want Kyle's opinion first before I give mine, and mine's going to be a little bit more of a negative light. I will emphasize that, but it also is true. I believe in what I'm going to say, but I want to know Kyle's opinion. Kyle, how do you see this head coaching search shake out for the Cleveland Browns?
Who do I think the Browns are going to go hire? So are you asking me who I think the Browns are going to hire?
Or promote. It could be within. I mean, I'm sure you saw they are interviewing Tommy Rees and Jim Schwartz tomorrow. So internally they could keep, but they do have as of right now they have 5 potential candidates. They called for Todd Monken, technically 6 if you want to count Harbaugh, because they did call, but nothing's been officially set up for an interview. Excuse me.
I've got 3 scenarios in my mind that make sense. And the first scenario is you promote Schwartz to head coach. The reason why I don't think that's going to happen is I think Schwartz has made it pretty well known that he doesn't want to be a head coach again. I don't think he wants to. And I think he is comfortable in his role. But the only issue with that is whoever they bring in as head coach, I don't know how long he would stay, right? How long they would stay together, right? So promote him, you got a head coach. I'd be okay with that move. I honestly would be okay with that move. Number 2 is you have to bring in an offensive-minded coach if you're going to keep Schwartz as your defensive coordinator. So that limits who you go after, because what you see here, all these coaches are mostly defensive-minded coaches, right? So the only person I could think that would make sense would be Kubiak, right, from Seattle, that I think would make sense. I'd love that hire. If he came to Cleveland, would absolutely love that. I'd love him with Schwartz. And go from there. The other option is kind of mimicking what you said earlier, is Gannon potentially coming to Cleveland. I think that'd be an interesting thing too. Also keeping Schwartz as a DC. Those are the only 3 scenarios I see playing out. But now we're talking about the Browns. What I think they're really going to do is they're going to hire Reese as the head coach, and we're just going to suck for the next 3 years. So there you go.
So right now the Browns, again, as I said, they have 5 interviews lined up. They do have a Seattle coordinator, but it is not Clint Kubiak. Clint Kubiak actually is. I was going to interrupt you, but I didn't. I would almost put a 0% chance on Clint Kubiak because he comes from a tree that learned the same style offense as Kevin Stefanski and similar. So I don't think he's a candidate just because of their similarities.
In my mind, he's my favorite, and I know it probably wouldn't make sense, which then goes back to that's why we like Kevin Stefanski so much, because it just makes sense, right? But whatever, I digress.
So yeah, the Browns currently that's been publicly announced. They have 5 interviews set up. One of the first call they made was Todd Monken. Second call they made was John Harbaugh, but again, nothing's set up for an interview. They may have honestly just called and said, "Hey, what's your interest? Hey, what's up, Dave? Thanks for checking in, man. Hope you had fun at the game on Sunday. It was nice to see that kick go wide right to keep Tomlin employed in Pittsburgh for another year. He's the African-American Jeff Fisher, and I couldn't be happier for Pittsburgh that they're stuck with him. But then the other people that the Browns have actually called and requested interviews from are, what's his name? Dan Pitcher from Indianapolis, or from the Bengals. He's the offensive coordinator. He worked in Indianapolis in the early 2010s with Andrew Berry, so there's a strong connection there. So he's a guy who has jumped to the top of people's thoughts of he's going to be the pick because it's Andrew Berry's buddy. Funny thing about him, he is the offensive coordinator of the Cincinnati Bengals. You hear that and you go, oh shit, that's awesome. He also has 4 of the best offensive players in the NFL. He has Joe Burrow, who's one of the best quarterbacks, Jamar Chase, who's arguably the best wide receiver. He has T. Higgins, who is a top 10 wide receiver. And then he has Chase Brown, who is hit or miss. Chase Brown's had some good years, some bad years. This year was a fantastic year for Chase Brown. So he has 4 of the best offensive players in the NFL, at least for this season. And he is, of course, being I think the Steelers will lose too. I think the Texans are going to come in there and shut them down, honestly. Texans have one of the best defenses in football. We'll get to our picks, though, for the playoffs. But spoiler alert, I'm not picking the Steelers. So they have Dan Pitcher. They called and requested an interview for Cincinnati. They called the Seahawks for Aiden Durd, I think this is how you pronounce it. He is from England. He's British. He is a defensive coordinator for the Seahawks. Seahawks have a pretty good defense. Spoiler alert, fun fact here. He does not call the plays. Mike McDonald, their head coach, calls the plays. So another situation of in my opinion, the guys that don't call plays are not serious head coach candidates. Young guys that don't call plays because they don't have that experience. So he's a guy that they're calling. Brian Flores, I don't think is. I don't know if you're saying for the Browns, Dave, but no chance that Brian Flores gets hired here. I really would be. I think Brian Flores should get a job, but honestly, he's kind of blacklisted. I don't know if a lot of people know that he's one of the guys that sues sues the NFL or suing literally and figuratively because of racism. He's suing.
Blacklisted.
He's on a small list of people that were suing the NFL. So for him, he could be.
I'm good. Appreciate it, man.
There could be teams that aren't interested in him, but I don't know if that's who Dave was talking about for the Browns or if he's talking about maybe the Steelers make a move to Brian Flores. I don't know, but I don't see it happening for Cleveland. But then they also called. So I got Painter, I got Durd, I've got Monken I talked about, and then they're interviewing internally Jim Schwartz and Tommy Rees to be the head coach. So that's who they're going for. This list to me,
It's
and this
trash.
is typical Andrew. Yes, it's trash first and foremost. But this list to me screams.
What's your thoughts on Schwartz? I mean, do you like Schwartz?
Not a good head coach. I like him as a defensive coordinator. I think some people are meant to be coordinators. Some people are meant to be head coaches. Jim Schwartz had I have no interest in John Harbaugh, truthfully, Dave. John Harbaugh was a special teams coach. He's not a master at offense nor defense. He's good because of his coordinators. John Harbaugh also is 64 years old. John Harbaugh also had some pretty rough years with the Ravens when Joe Flacco was in a decline and before he had Lamar Jackson, which makes me think he's kind of like a Bill Belichick type of he's the product of his quarterback. When you have Ray Lewis.
What about Callahan? Bring him in over. Bring his dad back with him.
I'm good. Tennessee's offensive line sucked ass. Bill Callahan's like 70 years old. I'm good on him too. Reese is a younger version of Freddie Kitchens. Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, I'll get to my take here, but what I'm seeing with these interviews that the Browns are setting up, they're going for guys who don't call plays, who are kind of just yes men. They're good, coordinators, but they're not the ones in charge of anything. So these aren't real head coaching interviews, in my opinion. They're not actually trying to get Todd Monken to be the head coach. They're not trying to get Dan Painter to be the head coach. They're asking them, hey, do you want to come here as a lateral move? You'll be our offensive coordinator, and you will be in my opinion, Dave, I would have kept Stefanski if you're going to do this. We're in a phase. I'll get to that in a second here. But I would have kept Stefanski and I would have fired Andrew Berry because Andrew Berry's trying to make a coordinator work with the head coach that they have, not the opposite. So truthfully, in my opinion, I think Todd Monken and Dan Painter were interviewed to be the offensive coordinator for Tommy Rees. I think their plan is Tommy Rees. Again, conspiracy theory here. Ty Simpson from Alabama. Now, Cliff Kingsbury, no shot in Cleveland. I think Cliff Kingsbury I would put him as possibly a sleeper pick for the Ravens, to be honest. I think he would be a good match for Lamar Jackson, the way he can get a mobile quarterback going. I think Kingsbury would be interesting there, but I don't see Kingsbury coming to Cleveland at all. I mean, the Browns haven't even bothered to call for an interview. And
I don't think they make a decision quick. I think this drags out for a month or two.
I think so too. I mean, they're not technically allowed to ask the coordinators from teams that are playing this week to interview yet. They have to wait. So they're allowed to ask the teams that have players or coaches on buys. So that's why they were allowed to ask for Durd from the Seahawks. And then obviously the other guys they've requested interviews with, their seasons are over.
Sure, you're going to get to it, but who's your top 3 fantasy picks if you had to for coaches? I'm sure you're getting to it. I'm sorry.
I mean, I honestly don't really have one. I don't see a head coach that's going to come in here and fix anything anytime soon. I feel like we're stuck in a purgatory of shit because of the wins at the end of the season. We fucked ourselves out of a quality quarterback. But conspiracy here, I'm going with gun to my head. If you ask me what I think is going to happen in this situation, I think Tommy Rees is promoted to head coach. There's a reason they blocked him from interviewing with Michigan. My guess is they told him, you're our guy. And that's why they're interviewing 2 offensive coordinators because they're going, hey, who's going to replace you as offensive coordinator here in Cleveland? So that's why they talked to Dan Pitcher. That's why they're asking for.
How dare he try to interview for Michigan anyways? He's a Notre Dame boy. He should not be even thinking about that.
Hey, money talks. Money talks. Yeah, and I could see LaFleur or McDermott. I'd pass on McDermott personally. I've seen enough of him going and, coaching well enough to choke in the playoffs. I've seen enough for McDermott to not be interested in him for a rebuild because there are phases to rebuilds in the NFL. The Raiders are in phase 2. Phase 1 is tanking to get a top pick for a quarterback. That's your first step. They're in phase that's phase 1. The Browns were in that phase. And then with the last 2 weeks when they won, they fucked themselves out of phase 1. They're back to phase 2. They fucked themselves out of being in phase 2. They're back to phase 1. Phase 2 is when you get your quarterback. The Raiders are going to get Fernando Mendoza. The Raiders are going to hope that that's the franchise-changing player that they need. The Jets at number 2, I have a theory on what's going to happen with that pick, but could potentially be Dante Moore. So they're going to get their quote-unquote franchise quarterback. And there's a little fun fact for you that every team Tyrod Taylor has left in the last decade, they found their franchise quarterback after he left their team. He's like the good luck Chuck of the NFL. And it goes back to he was with the Bills. I think it was the Bills before the 2018 draft where Baker Mayfield and all them got taken. So they found Josh Allen. He was with Cleveland for a few weeks before they went to Baker Mayfield. Then he went to, I'd have to look at the list all over again. He was with the Giants last year. Then they draft Jackson Dart. He's with the Jets this year. The Jets have the number 2 pick, potentially getting Dante Moore. He's like literally the good luck Chuck of quarterbacks. It's pretty funny. Who Dante Moore? I like Dante Moore. I do think he's a situational type of quarterback. He needs to go to the right spot, and I don't think New York is a good spot for him. No way. Raiders are taking Mendoza. There's no way they don't take him. Then again, it is the Raiders, so Mark Davis could fuck it all up. But I think the Browns are going to promote Tommy Rees. They're going to hire an offensive coordinator to essentially be a yes man for them and the organization. They're going to keep Jim Schwartz at defensive coordinator. They're going to obviously fire Bubba Ventrone. And then, because he declared today, they're going to pair Tommy Rees back up with his boy Ty Simpson, who didn't play for Tommy Rees at Alabama, but they were there together. So in my head, I'm thinking of the worst case scenario. I don't like Ty Simpson. Let me preface with that. My worst case scenario for how the Browns are going to fuck this all up is promote Tommy Rees to head coach and then draft Ty Simpson. And we are going to fucking suck. So that's where I'm going with the Browns.
Remove Ty Simpson out of it. Do you hate Rees as a coach 100%? Or do you see anything in there that could potentially work out?
No, I don't. I really don't. Just with what we have, I look, and I'll make it quick, but I went through it, and there are 85% of the playoff teams right now have first-round draft picks at quarterback. Whether they were their own pick or whether they were from, free agency, whatever, like Sam Darnold, etc. Almost every quarterback that on a successful team is a highly drafted player. The Browns don't have that. They don't seem to be interested in that. They have Dylan Gabriel, they have Shedeur Sanders, 3rd and 5th round picks, and they have Deshaun Watson, who, yes, was a first-round pick, but obviously we know what he is now for whatever reason. He's fallen off the face of the earth in terms of talent. He got space jammed. But you go through everybody, Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts. Those are the only 2 players in the current playoffs that were not taken in the first round. Every other player was a first-round pick. And then when you really break it down, about half of them are top 5 or like top 10 draft picks. They're very early. And then, same with Adam. Browns have the 6th overall pick. Okay, who could be there? There's Jordan Tyson, wide receiver from Arizona State. Carnell Tate could possibly go there. I like Malachi Lemon from USC. There's some good wide receivers in this draft. Do you trust Andrew Berry, the guy who gave you Anthony Schwartz, David Bell, Jamari Thrash, etc.? Do we trust him? Jimmy Haslam does for some fucking reason. I don't understand it. Why is he still here?
I trust Barry to make that pick this year because I'm still of the mindset that D. Podesta is the one that picked those fucking players, right? Because you've even been on the record before and said that we
I thought that, for sure.
Award winners, right? We picked the trophy winners. And that was a D. Podesta thing. That's what Anthony Schwartz was. He was some sort of an award winner, right? When they picked him.
He was super fast. Yeah, he was like a track and field.
I think if we're sitting at 6 and Tate is there, you take him. You take the best receiver possible at 6. And then you turn around, and I don't know where Jacksonville's drafting, but you turn around and you draft the best offensive lineman at that position or best player available, right? But receiver needs to be the number 1 priority for us. And Judy needs to be walked out on a short bus out of Cleveland easily.
Yeah, Jerry Jeudy's not going anywhere. I got bad news for Browns fans. Jerry Jeudy is still your number 1 wide receiver next year. Even if you draft a rookie, the rookie would be 2.
Got him.
Jerry Jeudy is not going anywhere. But
You get
yeah,
10 passes, 10 passes on a jugs machine. If he can't catch all 10 of them, he's cut. Done.
It's tough. He catches with his body, so it's tough on a jugs machine to use your hands. But then I revert to what I said earlier with the Mason Graham selection. Really good pick. I like Mason Graham. However, Ted McMillan could have been our pick. Here's your number one wide receiver. He's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Obviously he's in a good situation. He's playing with Bryce Young, who has a resurrected career.
That is this year, right? I mean,
to
show you get a number one receiver paired with who has a decent talent quarterback.
But again, that's the other thing too, is you have a number one overall pick who they gave a little bit of time to develop. It took them 3 years. And that's why I'm so unoptimistic about the Browns is you have phases for tanking. Phase 1 is you have to tank. Phase 2 is you get your rookie quarterback and you struggle a little bit. Phase 3 is you either succeed with said quarterback or you have to go back to phase 1. There's 3 phases. That's it. Look at the teams in the playoffs right now. Drake May last year, he was the 3rd overall pick in the draft for the Patriots. He stunk. He had an up and down season. It wasn't really great when you really look at it. What happened this year? He might win MVP. Took 2 years. A year, if you will. Figured some shit out. They're in the playoffs. They're hosting a playoff game. They won the division. You have last year's number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams. Chicago sucks. He was average. He was okay. The Chicago Bears sucked. What happened? Obviously, the new coach helps, but a number 1 overall pick or a first round quarterback is the common denominator for all of these playoff teams. Caleb Williams, they're in phase 3. Boom, won the division. Going to the playoffs. That's what you have to do in the NFL. The NFL is quarterback driven. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I won't hear otherwise from people that try to argue and say, oh, well, look at this guy. This team's pretty good. I don't want pretty good. I want to be a contender. And you don't get that way without a first-round quarterback. Even Sam Darnold was a high draft pick. Yes, he's bounced around the NFL. He had to kind of find himself in other places. He had to learn a little bit. But he was still a first-round top 5 draft pick. We have Deshaun Watson, who is garbage for some reason. And then we have Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, who are both garbage, not starting quarterbacks in the NFL, not franchise quarterbacks. But that's all we have right now. This quarterback class in the draft is bad. You get Mendoza, you get Moore, and then it's the field. It's a bunch of shit. I like Moore. I love Mendoza, but that's it. It's a steep cliff that falls off after those 2.
The Browns aren't drafting a quarterback this year. They're going after
and that's what I'm saying. We have no shot at a good quarterback this year. So to me, I'm already looking at the 2026 season as we're going to suck. And sure, maybe we start Shedeur Sanders next year and maybe we win 8 games. We go fucking 8 and 9. That's not good. I mean, that's fucking middle of the pack. But to Browns fans, they're going to look at that and be like, oh, that's something to build on. But that's shitty. That's not good.
Better than 5 wins.
Isn't it? Because then at 8 you're stuck. You're in Pittsburgh purgatory where they win their 9 games, they maybe make the playoffs, they sneak in, and then they lose, and then they can't get another good quarterback because they're fucked with draft picks because you're in the middle. Not saying that 8 wins would get you to the playoffs, but you know what I mean. Like you're stuck drafting at like 15 to 20, and that's. I mean, you need to fully tank, get yourself the good quarterback, and the 2 years that the Browns have sucked, where they've won 8 games total, there haven't been good quarterbacks. Last year's class, my stance on it. I thought last year's class was terrible top to bottom. I don't like Cam Ward. I don't like Jackson Dart. I didn't like Shedeur Sanders. I didn't like any of the quarterbacks coming out. And it's kind of looking like I'm kind of correct on that because those quarterbacks all look like shit.
Jackson Dart's not bad. Come on.
He sucks. He's got fucking mush brain. The dude gets a concussion tying his shoes. Putting on his gold chains at night, he gets a concussion. He's going to be toast. He's going to be Tua. But I just don't like any of those quarterbacks, so I was happy the Browns didn't really pursue one early. And then this year's class, again, I love Mendoza, I like Dante Moore, and I don't give a fuck about the rest of the class. They're not good. And unfortunately, that's all we have. And we have no shot at really correcting the quarterback position here if you're the Browns. Kyler Murray could probably be available. I don't want him, though. He's not good. I'm just trying to think of some available quarterbacks. There's not a good available quarterback that the Browns are going to be able to get that's going to do anything worth a fuck. So I'm just more frustrated that I had to sit through the last 2 years of 8 wins where we were we were clearly tanking this season, which is what you need to do to take that next step. And then they win those last 2 games, then they fire Stefanski, and we're back at square one. That's what's so frustrating for me, is like we just literally wasted 2 years of the football lives, of our real lives as fans, wasted 2 years. And now we're back to suck. Like, there's no expectations for the team next year to even be competent, let alone a contender. So I am very upset as a Browns fan. I'm very frustrated with the way they did things in the organization. I don't understand how Andrew Berry, who has not been very good at his job for the most part, sure, he had a good draft in 2025, but if you look at everything else, I mean, like he's done 10% good for his job. He now has the keys to the ship. That's crazy to me. I don't understand how they could do that, but it is Jimmy Haslam after all.
We live in a world where we can't control some things, and then now we got to just basically suffer like we always do as a Browns fan. So whatever's going to happen next year, right?
And what's crazy is, like, I'm just a fan. I'm a kid who grew up in Cleveland. I like football. I love the Browns. I watch it religiously. And I feel like I've laid out game plans that could set this team up for success. And I'm not sitting here saying, like, they need to hire me. I'm not an idiot like that. But, like, I do this for fun. I watch it for fun. I enjoy it. And these guys get paid a lot of money to make decisions, and they just continue to do the wrong things. And that's where I'm like, how the fuck is that possible? Like, how do you continuously just fuck up? It's nuts to me. So, yeah, it's safe to say I've been very, very frustrated this week. Again, basically making Kevin Stefanski the scapegoat for this shitty offense that we've had is nuts, because the person who put the offensive talent on the field or on the roster is the guy who now got promoted, essentially. He went from just being the general manager to he's the team president, because he gets to pick the new head coach. He gets to do all that shit. So he got a promotion for not being good at his job. And that's where I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here? And it's very upsetting as a fan to see.
Where does Kevin land at if you had to pick?
I think he goes to the Giants if they don't hire Harbaugh. If they do hire Harbaugh, I would see him going to Atlanta.
You think the Giants is a good hire for them? Or, I mean, a good spot for him?
No, I personally don't. Again, it goes back to I don't like Jackson Dart, and you're in year 2 with Jackson Dart. So, there's politics in sports. I think you would agree with that. You've seen it. Whoever takes the Titans job, whoever takes the Giants job, you are stuck to that quarterback because they're only going into year 2. So you have to work with that quarterback as first round picks. The Browns head coach, Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel are going into year 2, but they're 3rd and 5th round picks. So no, they're not going to hire a guy and say, you have to make these guys work. But Dart, you do. And with Cam Ward, you do. In Arizona, you have Kyler Murray, who's in like year 7 or 8 or whatever. They're not going to force you to do that. Atlanta, you're moving into year 3 with Michael Penix. They could potentially keep Kirk Cousins, who Stefanski worked with and had success with in Minnesota. So Atlanta makes a lot of sense. And Atlanta, in my opinion, is one of the best jobs. Their defense is pretty decent. They put a lot of draft picks and money into it. And their offense is really good. I mean, you have Bijan Robinson, who arguably could be Offensive Player of the Year himself. You've got Drake London. You've got Kyle Pitts. They've got a pretty fucking good offense down there in Atlanta. So Atlanta would be a really good spot for Stefanski. So yeah, Adam's with me on that one. Harbaugh to the Raiders, I don't know. Again, I don't think Harbaugh at 64 years old wants a full rebuild. I think he's a coveted coach. I think he's going to go to a team that's already kind of established. I don't think they're going to go from...
It's either going to be, like you said, Buffalo or Atlanta would be the only 2 I could think of. Maybe Miami, but I don't know. I don't think Miami.
I mean, I would look at it too of like the Giants for Harbaugh would make sense. They have good pieces on defense. They've got really good defensive line. They've got Brian Burns. They've got obviously Abdul Carter, who's a first round pick. They've got Jackson Dart, who's looked good at times. I don't know what to make of Jackson Dart. I personally don't like him, but could potentially fit with Harbaugh. He likes to run as a quarterback. That's a good fit for him. When he's healthy, Cam Scatabo looked like a decent running back. They've got Malik Neighbors. They've got a top 5 draft pick to possibly get, whatever the fuck they want on the team. So that's a good situation for a guy. For the Raiders, it just would be a kind of a boneheaded move, in my opinion, to go from 70-year-old Pete Carroll for a rebuild to 64-year-old John Harbaugh for a rebuild. Again, Harbaugh, he's going to go down as a really good coach, probably going to be a Hall of Fame coach. But when you really look at things, when he lost Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and Joe Flacco got hurt and wasn't the same player, they sucked. They had a 3-year stretch where they won like fucking 5 games a year. And then they got Lamar Jackson. And then Lamar Jackson came in and took over for Joe Flacco, who was stinking. And Lamar Jackson's now made John Harbaugh look like a brilliant coach again because he's a product of the players around him. Because when he lost those good players, they were an average team. So to me, I'm not saying John Harbaugh's a bad coach by any stretch of the imagination, but I joked with George about it last night when George said something about that. And I said, he didn't get fired for being good. You don't get fired because you're a good head coach. They fire you because they go, hey, you're not doing your job well. So I don't know. For me in Cleveland, I'm not even thinking about John Harbaugh. To me, it's irrelevant. He's not coming here. Again, he's going to be 64 years old in September. We have no quarterback. We have no shot at getting a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, not in the draft. But in the NFL, you want like a top 15 quarterback at minimum to be a playoff contender. We have almost no shot of getting a top 15 quarterback this offseason. So to me, this is like, okay, you come in for year one, we're going to have to suck again. So you're going to have to put up with that. Then next year, maybe we find a quarterback. That's not something a 64-year-old is going to do. So I am not even thinking about John Harbaugh for the Browns. I am looking for a young person, Tommy Rees, who's 33 years old, I think, would be the perfect guy if you're going to rebuild and you're going to suck for the next year or two again. So that's why I'm sticking with that theory as of right now. We're the only team, the Browns, that have not requested an interview with Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator for the Broncos. What that tells me is, again, the Browns aren't interested in real head coaching candidates. They're interviewing 2 coordinators that don't call plays, that are young and really not deserving of a head coaching job, let's be honest, and then Todd Monken, for God's sake. So they're not interviewing serious people. I know it's only been 24 hours essentially since the window opened up for you to set up interviews, but as of right now, they are not linked to one serious head coach.
Fingers crossed.
Is that a good strategy to be the last one to the party when everyone else is going to start trying to hire their coach? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe Andrew Berry's doing that shit where he goes, I'm the smartest guy in the room. I don't know. I'm just very unhappy with the Browns. Again, it's more so just the reality setting into me of we're going to suck for the next couple of years and there's nothing I can do about it. It's fucking frustrating. It's super fucking frustrating. So that's why, half joking, I said I'm going to follow Kevin Stefanski to whatever team he goes to, and I'm going to support the shit out of them. And if he goes to Atlanta, if he goes to Tennessee, or if he goes to the Giants and they play the Browns next year, I will be rooting for Kevin Stefanski in that game to 100%. I want him to embarrass us. I'm very upset that they didn't do an all or nothing. Jimmy Haslam had a choice to make 2 decisions that everyone in the fan base would understand to an extent. Fire both of them. Everyone would go, okay, makes sense. 6 years. They had 6 years. They didn't get it done. Got it. Keep them both and explain to everybody, hey, I trust what these guys are doing, what they're building. I'm giving them more time to keep building. Makes sense to me. Other fans wouldn't agree, but it would make sense to me. Or he did what he did. Split them up where everyone's going to go, what the fuck are you doing? And Jimmy said, give me option C. And I don't get it. It's so fucking infuriating.
What if they fired Barry but kept Kevin? Would you be okay with that?
That one, same thing. I would kind of understand because I still wouldn't appreciate it. Like, I think it would be stupid to do that because then you're entering 2026 with Kevin Stefanski on the hot seat. And I feel like that's how they should approach Andrew Berry. You're entering 2026 with him on the hot seat.
I assume going into 2026, Barry's going to be on the hot seat then.
I would think, but there's some people that are coming out and saying like, oh, my insiders say no. I know it's super early for that, but there's people that are trying to say that like, no, Andrew Berry's not going to be in the hot seat. Jimmy Haslam's like, he's starting this rebuild. He knows what he's doing. And that's why it's like, then why did you keep him?
He's absolutely going to be on the hot seat because if
I think so too.
Next year and has a shitty draft and we perform shitty again, then the next thing that makes sense is now we have to get rid of the GM.
Yeah. So that's why this was just a stupid move because you're entering the next season with one of those guys on the hot seat. So why would you do that? Because again, I'm not sticking up for Kevin only. Like Kevin would be on the hot seat going into the 2026 season. If the Browns started off like 1-4 or something like that, he would be fired. So why do that to your team? You're handcuffing them. And then now you're trying to force a head coach into this team, which assuming you don't hire your internal guys, You're handcuffing a head coach to a GM who could be a lame duck GM. You're handcuffing him to some shitty quarterbacks in a bad situation. Our salary cap is going to be okay, but it's still not perfect. So there's just so many like red flags with the team right now. And then this draft class sucks. I'll be dead honest. This draft class has no real impactful players. You could get a couple offensive linemen. Most of the tackles in this draft, which we would really help. Most of them are projected to play guard in the NFL because they're not that good. Caden Proctor for Alabama, big left tackle. He's got really slow feet because he's very, very out of shape. Can that change? Sure. But as of right now, he's projected to play guard. Mauiaga, or however you say his name, for Miami, he's a right tackle. He's decent. He's projected to play guard in the NFL. Same with, Fanu from Utah is projected to be right tackle in the NFL. He'll probably stay at right tackle, but at the same time, he's a right tackle. He's not even a great one either. Like Penei Sewell from Detroit, when he was drafted in the top 10, was a stud tackle. You knew what you were getting, essentially a Joe Thomas-like offensive lineman. Fano from Utah is not in that conversation. So it's just a bad class for all the positions we need. Wide receiver too. Wide receiver is decent at the top. It's heavy in the beginning of the draft, and then it's a steep fall off. Quarterback, none. There's not one fucking quarterback in this class after Dante Moore that I'd be happy the Browns took. And that includes local hometown boy Drew Aller. I think Drew Aller sucks, so I don't fucking want them to take him even in like the fourth.
I don't think anybody's talking about him anymore.
They're not. That's why I wanted to bring him up first. Just let everybody know that I'm not going to be happy about it if they take him. But, no. I mean, we'll have plenty of time to talk more about this. So I just wanted to get that all off my chest. Kyle, feel free if you have more opinions on the matter. Let me know. No,
I mean, I knew this was going to be a very heavy, opinionated part of the podcast when it comes to this because of your thoughts and feelings. Now, to me, nothing's going to surprise me, no matter what direction we go. There's people I'd like to have, obviously, wishful thinking, but the Browns are going to brown. At the end of the day, that's the saying. The Browns are going to brown. So, how are they going to brown this up? I'm not quite sure, but I'm sure
they will. It's
going to be no surprise to anybody, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm frustrated with the whole situation, and I'm done arguing with the Shedeur people about him, but Shedeur Sanders stinks. He's not a good quarterback. And there are people out there that legitimately think he should be in contention to be our starter next year. And for me, I'm just kind of
I think he'll contend to be starter. I think if you ran with him the entire season next year, I don't think it's a complete loss on the season. I don't think he's a long-term answer, but I don't think it's a complete loss. I think he's shown flashes of what could be a decent quarterback. He's also shown flashes of why he was a 5th-round pick, right? So it's one of those things where it's hot and cold, but I don't know. For
me, I look at that and I totally get what you're saying. You look at the Titans game, you're like, okay, this guy can sling it if he wants to. But then I look at the whole body of work and I just look at he's a 50% completion passer. There are no 50% completion quarterbacks in the history of the NFL that have ever been successful. Anthony Richardson comes to mind. Anthony Richardson was a top 5 draft pick from the Colts because he's big, he's athletic, he's got a strong arm. 50% completion percentage in college. Comes to the NFL, 50% completion percentage, and he's not playing because he's not good. So there's a situation. So Shedeur just kind of, to me, he is who he is. Everything I thought that was wrong with him at Colorado, the reasons why I didn't want the Browns to draft him, are just glaringly obvious now he's in the pros. He holds the ball too long. He has trouble reading the defenses and making quick decisions. He takes a lot of unnecessary sacks. He's in the NFL. He's a turnover machine where he really wasn't in college because he was able to kind of hide it.
Yeah,
because of weaker opponents. In the NFL, he's a turnover machine. He led the NFL in turnovers since he started. Since he became a starting quarterback, he led the NFL in turnovers.
At least we led.
Just when he, yeah, exactly. Well, he was first in being the worst quarterback. If you look backwards, he was the lowest rated, so he's the top of that list. If you go in golf order,
that's funny.
But yeah, just so many issues with this dude, and all the problems I thought he had at Colorado. Are just still happening. And to me, that's not something that you can just coach out of him. That's just who he is. If he hasn't figured it out by now, he's played quarterback at Colorado for what he played 2 years at Colorado. He was at Jackson State. Now he's in Cleveland. So he's been quarterbacking, under the spotlight of America and the people paying attention to him for 3 to 4 years now, depending on how you want to look at it. And he has not corrected any of those mistakes. And he's a 5th-round pick. 1st-round pick, sure, you give him a little leeway. You say, I think we can work with this guy. 5th-round pick, if you're not great right off the rip or showing signs of greatness, like Brock Purdy, when Brock Purdy came in his rookie season, He was really fucking good. Look at his numbers. He was really good right off the rip. He deserved to be in contention. Shedeur Sanders has nothing, in my opinion, nothing that shows you should even bother with him. And then if it does become, go ahead.
My point was, though, if anything else, if we do a draft where we are picking up and putting pieces in place that support the needs that we have, we can take the quarterback position and kind of put it on the back burner, because you're not going to get a good quarterback this year. You're not going to bring a good quarterback in for free agency. And like you said before, at worst case or at best case, Deshaun Watson and Shedeur are fighting for the starting position next year. And if anything, I'd assume that Watson would win that battle, right? So you ride it out with whoever you have at quarterback. And if you have a good pick in draft and you fill up a potential good receiver, a lineman, another hole or two in defense, and you ride next year out, and let's say you finish 50-50, right? 500, right? You finish the season, whatever, right? Progressive, you got better. People got better. Rookies got better. And then you go into the next year looking for a quarterback in that draft class, right? That's what I think I would be okay with. Is it going to happen? Probably not, but that's what I'm okay with.
And that's my issue. Is I totally agree with you. That's what I was going to say a minute ago, was that I think if you do have a quarterback battle of Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders, Deshaun Watson's going to blow him out of the water 100 times out of 100 in like training camp. It's not even going to be close. Deshaun Watson was a former MVP candidate, for God's sake. He's going to look really good against Shedeur Sanders. But my fear, and this is going to come off like I don't like Shedeur Sanders as like a person, like it's a personal thing, because that's what people immediately go to. They act like you're racist and you have this vendetta against him. I have an issue against Shedeur Sanders as a diehard Browns fan, and that issue with him is he's not good. So for me, and that went for Baker. Adam can attest to that. I've argued with your friend Jamie. I've argued with a lot of people of my stance on Baker Mayfield. I think Baker Mayfield stinks. So I want nothing to do with him as a Browns quarterback. I was happy to get rid of him. Again, he's in Tampa. He's looked good at times. He's a 500 quarterback. He missed the playoffs. You know, he is what he is. But
don't
same thing with Shedeur.
Crazy too back here. This is
no, I love it. Little live action show going on. Yeah. But my concern for the Browns is that Shedeur is going to come out there and look mediocre. Maybe he looks mediocre. Like it's safe to say he looked mediocre to the naked eye. When you break down the EPA numbers and like the advanced metrics, he was ass. But if you are just looking at the naked eye, you go, okay, what do you have? 7 passing touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 1,300 yards, whatever the case may be, won a few games. You look at that and you go, okay, that's not bad. That's mediocre. Sure, he could do that. My biggest concern that scares the absolute shit out of me is that he is going to be mediocre next year if he's a starter. We win again 6, 7, 8 games. So we're right in the middle of the draft, not able to get a franchise quarterback, which is a huge bummer. And then, I don't argue with anybody, Adam. What are you talking about? Listen, I'll take that back. People argue with me, Adam. I'm always right. That's what I tell Jamie and your friend and Kyle's friend, Bo. I always used to say that to him to piss him off, that I'm always right. So for me, it's not an argument. For me, it's reminding you why I'm right. You're arguing with me. I'm letting everyone know why I'm right. I'm just kidding. But my biggest fear is that Shedeur Sanders is going to be average. We're going to win 6, 7, 8 games, whatever, not have a great draft pick. And then the Browns are going to have to make a decision. Do we go for another quarterback, or do we stick with the guy who was okay? And I could see them going, we'll stick with the guy that was okay. And then you're just stuck in this quarterback fucking purgatory where you're never going to win anything. And that's what scares the shit out of me as a Browns fan. And that's what really is upsetting about this whole situation we're in right now. And to me, it stems to Andrew Berry. He drafted Shedeur Sanders when we didn't need him. And it in my opinion, really fucked this franchise up and set the team back years. And I'm sick to my stomach about it. I'm a diehard Browns fan. Everybody here is. And I'm just devastated, truthfully, by this week. I think this was just a horrible week. It's been a horrible couple of weeks for the Cleveland Browns. When they beat Pittsburgh, I told everybody that is a franchise-altering loss, because you went from the number 2 overall pick locked in to you're out. You're out of the top 5. And then they beat Pittsburgh. Then they fire Stefanski. And I'm just watching all these building blocks that the Browns could have had just disintegrate in front of me. And that's, again, devastating as a Browns fan. I'm really upset because I'm looking too far ahead into the future, and I'm really bummed about it.
Well, we'll see where the chips fall, I guess, right?
Yeah, maybe this time next week, when the Browns have a new head coach, and we can dwell on it more then, because I have a feeling that's how we're going to react to it. Really quickly, we'll talk a little bit about the college playoffs. I didn't realize how long my rant went. I did tell George it was going to take up a lot of time. I'm not going to lie, I forgot the whole list I gave him as well. So let me go back through our messages here just to see where we're at.
We got time to squeeze a couple more things in.
Yeah, we got a little bit of time. End of the 2025 season. We'll talk about that more so when we get to we'll do picks for the playoff games. So that'll kind of wrap up the end of the season where you have everybody. We're not going to do them yet, George. You're jumping the gun. We're going to talk a little college first. Excuse me. College football playoffs. For whatever reason, it happened again where only one team that had a bye survived. Out of the last 2 years, teams are 1-7 when they have a bye week going into the playoffs. Indiana is the only team that advanced, and they advanced easily. They beat the shit out of Alabama. Oregon beat up on Texas Tech, again, an ass-whipping game, and Ole Miss got a really good win against Georgia. That was a really fun game, and then Ohio State lost to Miami. That was a really good game, and depending on which side you're on. I am kind of impartial. I like Ohio State. If they win, cool, but it doesn't I don't know. When they lost that game, I just literally turned on a movie and I moved on with my life. I don't care enough. I know Chipper immediately starts commenting on Adam's stuff, and Adam starts saying stuff to Chipper, the second Michigan or Ohio State do anything. I laugh at it. I don't really care. I'm indifferent. I've always said I watch college football just for scouting purposes. I could give a fuck less about the teams. But yeah, Ohio State loses to Miami, a little bit of a shocker, but at the same time, again, for whatever reason, teams that have a bye week just struggle.
Miami played a hell of a game, man.
They did. They looked good. They came in. They punched Ohio State in the face pretty early. They got that pick six on Julian Sand. The one thing that's crazy to me is Ohio State is a juggernaut. They're a powerhouse football team. Every year they're getting the best of the best. How many times are kickers going to fucking miss huge kicks for them in playoff games? I remember the game a few years ago on New Year's Eve where as midnight was striking, they missed the game-winning kick against Georgia, I think it was. And then now you go to – I know Chipper usually is the one that starts it. He loves sending memes and shit like that to Adam immediately when something happens. But then against Miami, albeit it only would have been a tie had he made that field goal, but Ohio State kicker missed a crucial field goal in that game, and Ohio State ended up losing. I mean, they ended up losing by 10, but at the time it would have been a tie game and probably would have changed how they were, your approach. So Ole Miss beats Georgia. They're taking on Miami. I think, is that tomorrow night? And then the Indiana game is Friday night, I think.
On Thursday? Really? Maybe.
I thought that's what they were talking about on the radio today. I thought that's what they said, unless I heard them wrong.
Yeah, I know who I want in the finals.
Who do you have?
Give me an Ole Miss Indiana final. That would be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, tomorrow night, Miami and Ole Miss, January 8th. They're on at 7:30, and then Friday night is Oregon Indiana.
Nice. Yeah, no, I would love to see that. And I'd love to see an Indiana Ole Miss final. I just don't. Oregon and Miami. You just think of when you think of good teams. Miami, Oregon are always in the talk, right? I want to see two teams who have not been there. And get them there and have a good game. I think that'd be a hell of a matchup between the two.
Yeah, I mean, for me, with no dog in the fight, because like I said, I don't root for teams. I do love Fernando Mendoza, so I think it would be really cool to see him continue with Indiana to go undefeated, to win a national championship. He already won the Heisman. Then he's going to be the number 1 overall pick. I like the kid. Seems like he's a really good kid. And yeah, it really does, honestly, Adam, to think that going into the season, I thought Miami, didn't they lose week 1 against Notre Dame?
No, Notre Dame lost that game.
Shut up. They did? Okay. Either way, my bad. I didn't remember. It was so long ago. I don't remember.
I love how you're just an asshole without even thinking you're being an asshole.
No, it's a legitimate question. I thought they lost. I know they had a couple losses that were kind of where you look at them and you're like, okay, they must not be a very good team. That's all I was trying to get at. No disrespect to Notre Dame, but Miami was a meh team. Ole Miss, same thing. Ole Miss was okay. Then Lane Kiffin leaves, and you're like, "Oh shit, they're gonna suck in the playoffs." The first game, Lane Kiffin's gone. He's, they're in mess. Then they end up fucking beating Georgia. So yeah, no, it's nuts. It's kind of disgusting to think about Miami and Ole Miss. One of them will be in the championship, but whatever. That's what makes college football fun. I like that we're gonna have a different champion every year. It's always someone different. I don't know, I like it. It's fun. But yeah, I'm rooting for Fernando Mendoza personally. But we'll know by next Wednesday. We'll be able to talk about the championship game because those games are tomorrow.
Is it Monday?
No, it'll be the Monday after. They're going to give them like more than a week off, so it'll be whatever that date is. What was it? The 5th was this Monday. Then next week is the 12th, and the 19th, I would think.
Okay.
Monday the 19th.
Cool. They're really dragging it out, man. That's crazy.
Fuck yeah, they do. It's kind of insane because you think about it, like the combine is in like a couple of weeks after the championship game, so these guys have to like make quick decisions on if they're going pro and stuff like that. Excuse me. Big Ten needs to win a 3rd straight natty. I didn't even think about that. That's a really good point. That would be cool. Again, I'm pulling for Indiana. I think it would be really cool to see them win a championship. I will say the one team I don't want to win a championship is Miami. I've just never liked the Hurricanes. I don't like their fans. They're kind of cocky and like, I don't know, just weird. I hate seeing Michael Irvin doing weird shit on the sideline. I'm kind of over them, and Ray Lewis, the murderer.
Both of them. Irvin goes out there and does like 5 lines of cocaine and goes out there on the sideline and just has that.
I will say, dude, for like a 50, 60-year-old man, however old he is, he's got a fucking 6-pack. Like, he is shredded. I didn't realize how great shape he's in. Ole Miss, I think, would be really cool to win a championship only because of the Lane Kiffin stuff. I think that would be really funny if Lane Kiffin quit on them and then they go out and win a championship without him. I think that would be really fucking funny.
Because he's getting paid money for every win they win.
Oh yeah, which, whatever. He's got plenty of money, so I think it is just funnier for the players and the coaching staff that's stuck around to kind of stick it to him. So personally, I am rooting for Ole Miss or Indiana. I'd be happy with either of those teams winning a championship just for those reasons there alone. So yeah, we'll go from there. And we'll talk about that next week for the championship, national championship. Really quickly, I want to talk a little bit about the Cavs because news came out yesterday that Max Strus had that foot surgery in the offseason. He was expected to come back like around now. And unfortunately, there was a setback. They have to reassess, and we'll know more in about a month. So he's not coming back anytime soon. If anything, maybe he'll be back for the playoffs, which is kind of scary because he was the Cavs will make the playoffs. It's just a matter of when they get eliminated. I mean, if you really look at the East, aside from the Pistons, who are killing it, the Cavs are only like 3 wins away from being the 2 seed. Like, the East is wide open right now. Teams are all fluttering around 500, so I'm not too concerned about the Cavs. Getting Max Strus back would have been huge, though, because health is clearly a big issue for the Cavs team. And, it is what it is. He had foot surgery. He was trying to come to heal. From what I've heard, this is a very difficult surgery to come back from, so that's why they found some setbacks. He's not fully healthy, and I'm okay with that. Don't rush back and re-aggravate it. Take the extra time. If you're back, towards March into April before the playoffs start to get kind of acclimated again, that's fine with me. Don't rush, though, because then you might fuck yourself for the rest of the season. So Cavs just need to get healthy. I think they're a pretty good team. I think Kenny Atkinson has been changing some things up with the lineups and the rotations. Lonzo Ball, for whatever reason, I really liked that trade at the time, but that has turned out to be a colossal bust. So the less minutes Lonzo Ball gets on the court, the better the Cavs seem to play. So he's a guy that can kick rocks. And I think, getting Sam Merrill back to hit some threes. DeAndre Hunter is struggling right now, so he's got to figure some shit out. But I think once they all get healthy and everyone starts clicking again, the Cavs they'll go back to being pretty decent. Do I think this is a championship constructed team? No, unfortunately. I had some high expectations for them, but at the same time, they've quickly brought me back down to reality to where I am going in with some low expectations. Assuming they make the playoffs, I think they will, but it's almost harder to miss the playoffs in the NBA than it is to make them because they take more than 50% of the league. So your odds of making the playoffs are better.
It's also true. I know this is not the same Cavs team I thought we would have this year. I thought we'd be number 1, number 2 the entire year, and it's just been so wishy-washy with this team. It really has. It's so weird.
Especially with all the shit they talked after last year where they were like, we got a lot to prove, and, making the playoffs isn't good enough, and people are going to talk shit and bash us, and Donovan Mitchell was all stern and, like, badass. And I'm like, hell yeah, maybe they are going to have a little edge next year. And they got worse. So it didn't work at all. But what can you do? All right. With that said, speaking of the Cavs making the playoffs, there are actual playoffs happening this weekend starting Saturday, and that is the NFL. Apologies, George, if you could show us any of the comments. I'm going to go full screen, so I won't be able to see them myself. So just make sure you pop them on there for us. That would be appreciated.
Yep, no problem.
Thank you, my friend. And let's go over it. Obviously, we did picks in the regular season, but because we had a lot of shit going on in our personal lives, we didn't keep up with it, which I'm okay with. There were some weeks where we truly all just forgot to send our picks in. So that got all flushed, like all over the place. We just
George
Yeah, that's what happened. George was starting to take the lead, so I was like, you know what, Kyle? I texted him separately. I'm like, we're just going to throw it away and say fuck it, because we don't want to give George any credit. I'm just kidding. I really did. Like, there were weeks that went by where I would forget to check the scores, and like do the numbers for us. Then there were weeks where we would just forget to make picks. All of a sudden it would be Friday morning and we're like, oh fuck, we didn't make a Thursday night pick. Then the whole Sunday would go by and I'm like, oh, I forgot to do picks this week. So it was a nightmare.
Or the Saturday would go by. Yeah.
I'd even message on Friday and I'm like, hey, I'll get my picks in tomorrow. And then Saturday night hits and I go, oh, I forgot my picks. So it happened. That's when you have a toddler, it is what it is.
Touche.
But with that being said, just again, for shits and giggles, we'll have some fun here with our picks and we will do playoff pick'ems as we always do. No need for spreads. It's the playoffs. We'll literally just do straight money line pick'ems, if you will. So let's do it. Starting 4:30, Los Angeles at Carolina. I'll go first. Give me the Rams, and I'm not even thinking twice about it.
Yeah, I mean, good for Carolina. Hopefully they continue to improve going into next year, but I think they're going to get lamb blasted here.
Green Bay. Oh, I'm sorry, George. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think last time the Rams were just caught off guard, and Carolina took full advantage of it. I don't think it's going to be that 10.5 though. I was just like, nope, you ain't suckering me on that one, baby. I'd take Carolina in those points.
That's a lot of points for a playoff game. Like they think they're going to boat race Carolina, who Carolina's been, obviously they made the playoffs. They're, 9-8. I think they finished the season. They're a decent team.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, I think it's going to be the Rams.
All right. Next up, we have a chilly one in Chicago. We have Green Bay going to Chicago. Two rivals that have already played each other twice this year and split are now facing off in a game where the loser goes home. I'll let Kyle start this one because I picked the first one last.
Yeah, so this one is going to be, I think it's going to be a fun game. I'm glad it's Saturday night. I think Chicago surprised. I think Chicago takes this one at home. I think Mr. Williams shows up. Balls out. I think the Bears take this win at home.
George, what do you got?
Yeah, I agree, and especially because I posted it in there too in the chat that LaFleur and the GM are both, their contracts are up. So I mean, if this is a true one and done, I'm sure that Green Bay as an organization, they're going to have to sit down and take a look at what they want to do going forward. And they've been trying to actually extend LaFleur. Shefty turned around and said just the other day, Green Bay is actually trying to extend both guys because their contracts are up as this season is over and they want to keep them. So kudos for them. But for some weird reason, Ben Johnson, I think, seems to have Green Bay's number. So yeah, I'm going with Chicago.
No, I mean, LaFleur is a guy that it's 50-50. I could see the Packers wanting to move on if they lose just because he's had, he was here with Aaron Rodgers. They didn't win anything. Jordan Love has turned into a really good quarterback. They're not winning anything. Eventually, you kind of wear out your welcome, like John Harbaugh, like what could possibly happen to Sean McDermott if they lose. You have these coaches who, Mike Tomlin, they consistently get to the playoffs and they're good teams, but then it's like, well, that only gets you so far. And LaFleur, I totally get Green Bay if the rumor is true from Schefter, who I personally think Schefter's kind of a hack when it comes to reporting. But I could see Green Bay being like, well, we want to keep this guy locked up. We don't want to risk losing him to somebody else because he's a free agent. So we want to at least have him under contract because obviously you could fire a guy under contract. It is what it is. It doesn't hurt the salary cap or anything like that for a coach. But yeah, LaFleur, I could see getting canned if they lose. And I don't see that happening, though, because I have Green Bay winning this game. I am going with I'm going with the guys that have been there a few more times. Jordan Love is a veteran player. Mike LaFleur is a veteran coach. Ben Johnson's a rookie head coach. He's made some weird decisions in the regular season, in terms of clock management, in terms of understanding certain rules. He made some bonehead mistakes. Obviously, a lot of them were early in his tenure. Then you have Caleb Williams, who's been playing well this year, but at the same time, he's only in his second year as a player. And I think that the playoffs are a different animal for football. I've seen it a million times. Look at how many times the Ravens have just dominated people. Then you go to the playoffs and defenses go, okay, it's the playoffs. Buckle up, and they shut them the fuck down. So I think when Caleb Williams has to face albeit without Micah Parsons, but when he has to face a playoff defense and Ben Johnson's in a playoff coaching situation, I'm going to give my pick to the veteran side of that. So give me Green Bay. And that's why the line is super close, 1.5. I mean, it's basically a pick 'em game. So I am going to go with Green Bay. Next up, we'll let Georgie start us off. Sunday, we have Buffalo at Jacksonville. If Jacksonville loses, the Browns get their pick, which would be like 23 or 24, I believe, is where they would end up if they lose on Sunday. On Sunday. If they win, it keeps going. So I know who I'm rooting for.
Yeah, I know. I know who you're rooting for, but sorry, buddy. I got Jacksonville all over these guys. Yeah, and I think this is the last straw for McDermott. I think he's done when he loses this bad boy, because it is. I mean, I think Buffalo has pretty much had it, and they've got that new stadium going right on up. So, I mean, yeah, why not turn around and pull Harbaugh in and start Buffalo on a great new regime and fill those seats. So yeah, Buffalo goes down and Jacksonville moves on.
All right. I'm taking Buffalo, and here's my reasoning why. Jacksonville, here's a little fun fact. I follow guys, I have this tweet here with a whole chart. I follow guys that do deep research. Fun fact. What percentage of snaps did each NFL defense get to face either a backup quarterback or one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL, aka 30th or worse by EPA? The Patriots faced 61% of them on their snaps, which is like that means they're basically facing college teams. And second place, Jacksonville, 58%. So the 32nd and 31st ranked teams, if you're looking at it from that perspective of teams that played the worst quarterbacks in the NFL most of the season, New England, Jacksonville, 1-2, which means they weren't really road tested. And I kind of thought that with Jacksonville when I was looking through their schedule and looking at their games. They had a pretty fucking easy schedule. Then when they would face some decent teams, they would end up facing the backups. Like I think they played the Vikings at one point this year, and normally on paper you go, okay, cool. And they were facing the backups. I think it was I could be mistaken. Either way, I know they faced a lot of backup quarterbacks. They were the ones that Daniel Jones got hurt when they were playing against the Colts. Daniel Jones was actually the Colts were in that game. Then he tears his Achilles. Jacksonville wins the game, no problem. So I feel like they haven't really been tested. Now they're going up against an MVP, the reigning MVP. Josh Allen has been known to take over games when he has to. Buffalo's defense has been known to lock teams up when they need to. When they played Philly a few weeks ago, they locked them up, albeit they still lost the game, but their defense can show up when it needs to. And James Cook is arguably the best. He is, I mean, technically, statistically, he was the best running back in all of football this year. So I think Buffalo with, again, that veteran experience. You've got Liam Cohen, who's going to do his stupid little douchey Duval, that fucking dork. He is going to get embarrassed, I think, even though it should be a close game, but I do think Buffalo wins.
Yeah, I agree. I think Buffalo wins. I don't even think it's close. I think this one's going to be an easy win for Buffalo to take.
Yeah, I truly, just looking at it from an objective or a non-Browns fan because of their draft pick look, Jacksonville did not have that tough of a year in terms of teams that they faced and opponents and stuff like that. So this is a real test. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Jacksonville is legit, but this is going to be a real test for them. And I'm going with Buffalo. All right, next up, we have San Fran at Philly. San Fran was a sleeper pick until they got embarrassed by the Seahawks the other day. They are injured as fuck. Philly is a weird team.
Pearsall did not practice today.
That's actually probably good for San Fran. Ricky Parasol's a bum. He's a wasted draft pick. So him not being on the field might make them a little bit better. I just like saying things that irritate you.
Whatever. Listen, man, I'm on meds now, man. Come on.
That's good. Then your blood pressure won't go up on Sunday when Ricky Parasol does something stupid and doesn't get open.
I did more than boot Bruiser the other night. I banned him out of the link the other night.
Did you really?
Yes. Because Sam backed me up on stats about the Browns defense too, and he just started spewing stupid stuff, and it was like, okay, nope, we're not doing this tonight.
Done. Well, speaking of defensive stats, unfortunately, the Niners do not have a very good defense.
Dude, Philly's
injuries
just as bad.
And Philly's been struggling this year. That's why personally, I'd like to take San Francisco just because I think they could win if they can get McCaffrey and Kittle involved like they need to, and if Brock Purdy doesn't look like shit because he's looked really bad in certain games this year. Philly's also looked really bad. They have a Super Bowl hangover. With that being said, just because we do this for fun, I'm having shits and giggles. Give me San Francisco with the road upset. I'm taking 4 straight road teams. Give me them.
No chance that Philly loses this game. Give me the Eagles here. No way.
Super Bowl hangover. I'm going Super Bowl hangover.
See, I even turned around and Sam and I were talking about this, and he's the big Philly fan, and you guys know me, I'm the 49er loyalist, and we both are saying on how bad our squads are right now, and it's almost like this is a prison inmate game.
It really is. I mean, again, like Philly just beat Buffalo a few weeks ago, but Philly looked terrible. Buffalo shut them down. Their offense looks bad. They have infighting with AJ Brown again. It seems to always happen. It's just, I don't know. Philly's not the same team that they were last year, clearly, but they're still finding ways to win. But at the end of the day, San Fran's a really good team. They're well coached. They're super injured right now. But again, since we're not doing this for any actual prizes or money or anything like that, give me San Fran for fun.
Yeah, unfortunately I have to go with Philly because, like I said, the 49ers are just beat up and bashed so bad on defense. I think Tank Bisbee actually gets the leading score for the Philly and not Saquon.
It could happen. I mean, I don't know what the hell happened to Saquon this year, but no, I respect that, George. As a fan of the team, you have to pick against them. Again, I'm just having a little fun with it. I'd like to see an upset. I want to see a repeat champion. So if Philly can get eliminated their first round, that would be fun for me because I want to see a new champion this year.
Sure.
Next up, Chargers at Patriots. Kyle, who do you got and why?
Well, after your little comment there that the Patriots have played the worst teams in the NFL the entire season, I don't think that they're overrated, though. I think they're maybe a little overrated, but not as much as Jacksonville. I think New England takes this one. I think the Los Angeles Chargers playoff issues continue, and I think the Patriots win this one at home.
I got a little fun fact for you. I don't want to sway your opinion, but it actually helps your opinion or your pick. Over the last decade, when a dome team plays on the road in a stadium that's when the weather is 40 degrees or below, they are 1-14.
Wow.
1 win, 14 losses. So yes, taking the New England Patriots is the smart move, and I'm doing it too. George, who do you have?
Yeah, Harbaugh's almost got them, I think, right about where they want to be. I still think it's going to take Harbaugh one more year to really solidify that squad. And yeah, it's New England for me all day as well.
For me, the biggest thing that's gonna make or break this game is the offensive line for Los Angeles, because the Los Angeles Chargers have multiple injuries with their key offensive linemen, Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater, are both hurt. And they're technically, according to Pro Football Focus, the Los Angeles Chargers, I think they rated their offensive line at 30 out of 32. So the Chargers have a really bad offensive line. Yes, they're winning because they have a good defense and Justin Herbert's good. But in the playoffs, it's a different animal. You got to win in the trenches. And when you have the 30th rated offensive line, according to PFF, it's going to be tough to win on the road. So yeah, give me New England also. That's a clean sweep for everybody there. 3.5 is an interesting spread, though, but that also could play into, like I said, New England faced a lot of bad teams this year, so maybe even Vegas isn't sold on them, but we'll see. And then we get to Monday Night Football. Last but not least, George, who do you have and why? I have a feeling this is going to be a clean sweep, but we shall see.
This is a no-brainer. The numero uno defense. Aaron Rodgers is going to get hit so hard, he's going to be in his dark place before the game's over. They won't have to wait for him to leave to go. Yeah,
and also another fun fact too. Well, to play on my fun fact of the dome teams going to cold weather, the projected temperature for this game is like 50 degrees. It's actually supposed to be kind of nice on Monday, so
nice.
shouldn't be a factor.
Yeah, I think
2. I'm taking Houston.
Yeah, Houston wins this one.
Yeah, and CJ's used to the cold, mid-weather anyway.
Absolutely. Okay. And again, it's going to be like 45, 50 degrees. It's not even going to be that cold out. So that's perfect football weather. That shouldn't affect any NFL player one iota. All right. That is your playoff prediction. And now we are at everyone's favorite segment. It is time for Just the Tip. And we are going to I don't know how you have it going. Kyle, you said you don't have one this week?
I do not have it. Only the tip I was going to suggest was going to be Stranger Things, but I'm not sure if that's been used in the last 6 weeks. But
no, go for it. I mean, it's brand new. Essentially, a whole movie got released for Stranger Things over the week.
Right.
So
obviously, season 5 is out and done, and There was a lot of conspiracy theories this past week of a secret episode 9 being dropped tonight. Obviously, that was false, but
Not happening.
people, it just goes to tell you that people weren't happy with how season 5 ended. I thought it was okay. I thought it was a good ending to the show. I thought it wrapped it up pretty well. But yeah, I mean, the only thing I would say to the show, my only negative would be they waited so long to record the seasons, and these kids that you're trying to pass as kids, where you can clearly see they're much, much older than what they really are, right? That's the only thing that kind of didn't sit well with me. But the storyline overall, I liked it. I liked the ending. I liked the finish. It was a great show. I would rewatch it again a couple years down the road. I thought they did well with it. So that's my
and that I agree. I mean, I thought the ending of it was fine. I mean, I wasn't blown away by it. I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was awful. There were a lot of plot holes that I noticed, but I also have like a weird like OCD thing where I like catch things. Like my biggest one, spoiler alert for anybody out there, cover your ears if you haven't seen it yet. I'm assuming you've seen it, George.
What's that?
Stranger Things.
You awake? You ignoring us?
No, Bryce. I was just gonna say that would be Bryce. Bryce is the one who he's the only one in the house who's actually watched it. I have not.
Okay.
But I did inquire with him, and he said yes, he was happy with how it finished.
Again, my things are just little petty things that I noticed. Like the one thing I saw was like, okay, again, spoiler alert for anybody that's out there. I'm warning you now. Mute us. Max gets Vecna, puts her in the coma. She's in a coma for how long did it fast forward? 2 years, I think it did. And then they just graduate and Max is there. It's like, wait, she missed 2 years of school. How the fuck is she graduating with everybody? Little things like that I notice where I'm like, that doesn't make sense. But again, it's not going to ruin the show for me, but I just have like a weird OCD where I catch things where I'm like, that doesn't fucking make any sense. Why would they do that? Why wouldn't they go through this door? Like I do little things like that. Again, it was fine. I'm with Kyle though. They waited way too long.
She was taking her classes in the abyss when she was stuck there.
Yeah. She was in the upside down doing her homework. But it just, again, it was fine, but they did wait way too fucking long. That's what made it annoying to me. But I know it was good.
My tip. Yep.
All right, and then George, you got one?
Yeah, I finally got a week of vacation and was just like, oh, I can binge watch some things that I hadn't seen in a while. So I actually caught up with this nice little gem called The Substitute. And even though Tom Berenger was did the original, Treat turn around and finishes at 2, 3, and 4, and very impressive. I like the writing. I like the plot ideas. It was pretty cool. You know that you have a mercenary just filling in as a substitute teacher in all the rough places, and it was the kind of guy movie entertainment type thing. And I really had a good time binge watching it. It was a lot of fun.
I think I saw the Tom Berenger original one when I was young, and I didn't realize they made 4 of them. So I guess I have something to watch now. But yeah, that's
2, 3, and 4. It was a lot better than I thought. They were a lot better than the original.
I love that they also just switched the guy. They're just like, hey, you know what, Tom? We're gonna go in a different direction here for the next 3 movies. But that's classic like 80s movies for you, though. No, that's cool. I'll check those out. Like I said, I think I saw the original Substitute when I was young, and it was a cool movie. I didn't realize they made fucking 3 more of them. So that's definitely something.
Neither did I. I found it by complete accident, and like I said, being on vacation, I was like, "Wow, what an awesome accident to be able to turn around and catch up with that." It was pretty cool.
Well, similar, obviously, I was on vacation. I was able to watch a ton of movies and shows. Like I am caught up on so many things. It's awesome. But the other thing that I was doing was I was doing a lot of reading. I was listening to audiobooks, reading physical books, just kind of really trying to decompress over those 2 weeks. And I listened to the audiobook called Hey Mom from Louis Anderson. Louis Anderson, of course, was a comedian. He passed away back in 2022, I think. The picture of him dressed up as a woman is from the show Baskets. If you're not familiar with the show Baskets, check it out with Zach Galifianakis. It's fucking hilarious. Louis C.K. was a writer on it, and it was a really funny show. It was on FX like 5 years ago or whatever. But Louis Anderson played Zach Galifianakis' mom, and not like a cross-dresser. He's literally supposed to be his mom in the show, but Louis Anderson just pretends basically he's acting, but he says in his book that he's like, I was just doing my mom. He's like, that's how my mom acted and sounded. He's like, I just did everything she would do, and it got him fucking Emmys and stuff like that, nominations, and he won one. But I always thought Louis Anderson was really funny, and I remember Life with Louis when I was a kid, the cartoon. I like Louis Anderson's stand-up. Again, he passed away a few years ago, and listening to this book just made me realize, like, I never thought anything bad about Louis Anderson, but he was literally seemed like the fucking nicest person. Like, he was just so nice and humble and generous and sweet. And the book was really good. It basically, every chapter is him starting off by going, hey, Mom. And then he just tells a story. Like, hey, Mom, tonight we filmed a season for Baskets and, blah, blah, blah. And then he talks about his childhood, and his dad was like a crazy abusive alcoholic, and like, it's a biography, an autobiography essentially, but it's like, again, it's written as a way where every chapter is him writing a letter to his mom, talking about he was one child. He was child number 10 out of 11. They had 11 kids, and they come from the Midwest, from like Minnesota. They're all big people. It's like in his family where they're all like very overweight and big. And he ended up losing like 7 of his brothers and sisters. They passed away. And he goes over all those in the book and like how sad it made him, and like how like, again, it's just really, really sad, but very sweet book. I really enjoyed it. I finished it, I think, on like New Year's Eve or something like that, somewhere around there. But really stuck with me. It was really good. I like Louis Anderson a lot, and this book was really cool. Good listen if you get a chance. It's like, I don't know, 6 hours. It wasn't long, but good book to listen to. So check it out. And that is my Just the Tip.
Awesome.
And ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, that of course gets us to the end. We rolled a little over, but that is of course because I had to rant and rave exclusively. Upset with the Cleveland Browns right now, and maybe we'll have some news by next week. We'll see. But I don't know. I have a bad feeling about the future of my Cleveland Browns, and that's very upsetting for me as a fan. Maybe it's wrong. Maybe my gut feeling, which is usually pretty good, is going to be dead wrong, and I have all these emotions, and the Browns are going to go out and be really good, and maybe Sanders turns into a franchise quarterback, and I can't even say it with a straight face. But but all right, everybody, we will talk to you again next week. We'll recap the playoffs. Don't forget that, of course, when the Super Bowl ends, we'll do a show. We'll recap the show after the Super Bowl. We'll do a Tabbies that night, which is our yearly award show, and then that's when we get to our bi-weekly episodes. And sometimes we might say, hey, let's just take this week off too, because it's the off season and not a whole lot going on. So just wanted to prepare everybody for that. But again, we will do weekly shows throughout the playoffs and the Super Bowl. And then that's where we kind of go back to living normal lives on Wednesdays. So with that being said, Kyle, do you have anything you'd like to get out?
Got nothing. Enjoy your night, guys.
All right, everybody. Yeah. Thank you for watching or listening. We will talk to you again next week. Cleveland, that was for you.